It has been 16 days since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And, I'll just throw my cards out there. I largely believe what we're getting from the FBI is correct, though there are a lot of questions about it because, look, we're not children. You don't need to just blindly believe everything the government tells you. But when we break down all of the theories running wild, I think the simple narrative that we are getting tends to be the correct one. But there are a lot of unanswered questions, even if you do believe the work of Kash, Dan, and Pam Bondi. There are questions about how could this have been a lone shooter? How could people have had foreknowledge posting on social media seemingly knowing this was going to happen? Because of these things, because of ballistics, there have been dozens of videos which have cracked millions of views claiming new evidence, new conspiracies, trap doors, cement being poured, palm guns, a man hiding in the bushes. What is true? Well, we don't really know for sure, but we're going to discuss it, debate it, break it down, and have a general conversation over why people are saying the things they're saying. But I'll just start with this, just so you guys know my position. I want to make sure it's clear. There's a lot of money to be made in a lot of these narratives. And I think if you came out and said, we don't actually know, well, for the most part, people aren't going to click that video. But if you make a video titled, Who Really Killed Charlie Kirk? The Truth Behind the Kirk Assassination, maybe people will click that one, which is what we titled this video. But I think it's because I actually want to take a look at all of this stuff. Some of these videos, I believe, are easily debunked, which is really frustrating to see 6 million views on a video where within 3 seconds, I'm not trying to be a dick, but the dude contradicts his own argument. So I think it's important that we can break this down and have this conversation. Before we get started, my friends, we got a great sponsor. It's Bearskin. We love Bearskin. These are great and amazing hoodies. You guys have seen them. I wear them on the show periodically. It's starting to get a little cool again, so we'll probably start wearing them. Smart people right now, they're locking in their winter gear because this is the best time to prep for coming winter. You buy it before it gets cold, right? Bearskin is running a 60% off deal right now, but only if you get your hoodie early. The hoodie is built like a tank, 340 GSM micro fleece, 10 pockets with a clean, rugged fit. It looks great. Plus, it zips right into a heavy storm rain jacket to become 100% waterproof when you need it. So if it gets cold, wet, and windy, you're not scrambling at the last minute. You'll get free shipping in the U.S., fast delivery, and you've locked in your winter gear early, so win-win. Do yourself a favor and text Tim to 36912 and lock in your 60% off. Again, that's Tim to 36912. You'll get a link straight to your phone so you can check it out whenever you want. Maybe you're busy right now. Don't wait till you're freezing. Go to baer.skin/Tim. You can get up to 60% off. Shout out. Thanks for sponsoring the show. Don't forget, my friends, smash that like button. Share the show right now. We got a couple of guests joining us to talk about all of this. Ryan, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm Ryan Matta, documentary filmmaker, investigative journalist, and thanks for having me, Tim.
Right on.
Myron Gaines, one half of the Fresh Fit podcast, man. Happy to be here.
Easy. Hello, everybody. My name's Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist, counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
So let me just pull up this story first, and we're going to start with some of these theories. I also want to stress that any information we don't have, as we're basically trying to do a deep dive on all this stuff, comments, rant, and chat, if you have any information you want us to pull up and look at, and we'll take a look at this, and we will try to assess it, and we'll break all this down. Let me actually start by saying this, what we think we know. And I say that because the investigation is ongoing, and I don't think... I think a lot of people are trying to claim the FBI is lying to us and all that. And I think Kash has been as honest as he can be. I mean, he's working into a degree in intelligence, so he can't just leak all this information, especially if they're building a case. But I believe we are getting pretty much as close to the real story from the feds. I also think it's fair to point out, even Kash has stated, they're looking at every angle. They're looking at possible other shooters, any information or tips that people have. They're trying to figure this one out, same as everybody else. But we've got the official story that we have now is there is a man who was accused of shooting Charlie Kirk. He was on a roof with a bolt-action .30-06. He was motivated by the hatred spread by Charlie, according to this official story, and he shot Charlie in the neck right around the time that Charlie was answering a question about trans mass shooters. This individual was seen limping on a private security camera towards the UVU. He was seen on video on the roof fleeing after the shot was taken, apparently holding something that appears to be a gun. The bullets, as reported by the feds, had engravings on it with memes and messages. And this individual had a long conversation with his transgender boyfriend, basically saying, here's why I did it. And, here's what I was doing. Now, there are questions that people have that I think are warranted, such as the ballistics, which I think can be answered. I think certainly people who are tracking ballistics are making interesting points, but I think there's a lot of people that are jumping the gun and saying outright, oh, it's not possible. It's not possible. Well, it is possible. And we'll get to that stuff in the greater conversation. But as to the story that we have so far, everyone has questioned the conversation between the boyfriend and the alleged shooter because it reads very scripted. At the bare minimum, it's transposed because there's not a single typo. Matt Walsh has suggested that the boyfriend was involved, and this message was to create reasonable doubt in a potential court hearing. There's also other information. This is confirmed. The FBI is investigating Discord chats and other potential groups, these queer and trans rifle groups, because there were at least there were 7 accounts online that had foreknowledge or presented information that appeared to show foreknowledge of the assassination plot, indicating it's likely not a lone wolf. But that being said, before we dive into some of these conspiracy theories, we'll just throw it to you guys, and I'll ask you guys what you think is going on.
Yeah, so I think we got a lot of misguided stories from the FBI and from our government and then from the mainstream media. It seems like that they're using the media to basically present and push out a narrative. And then once we tear apart that narrative, they're coming back and saying, oh, wait, there was no official FBI statement. So I think we should start at the very beginning. And the first big break in the story, I think, was when Blake Bednarz went through all the footage and he realized, he said, hey, the people in the cafeteria, and I showed this to Myron on the way here, you can see the people that in the cafeteria that filmed the video of the man running across the roof, right? At that exact point that they're filming that, you're seeing the crowd out there scrouching down. So then I go outside and I go, okay, let's start a video at the exact moment that Charlie gets shot. And I go, I'm going to press play and you're going to hear bang. And then we count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. I'm also using the timer on the computer to from the video thread. It's 3 seconds from the time that Charlie from the time that shot goes off to the time that crowd's sitting down. So then you go back to the camera on the inside and you see the man running on the roof is in a full sprint. Within 3 seconds of Charlie being shot, 100% fact, we know whoever that man was on the low-C building on that roof is in a full sprint with or without his rifle in hand within 3 seconds. So then I hired a journalist to go back to the crime scene and actually film. I wanted to see the video, the camera, the CCTV footage that was used that the FBI gave us. So the FBI gives us the footage, which is time-stamped on the date and time at 12:23.34 it starts. So at 34 it starts and you see him running across the roof. Okay, so 3 seconds prior to that video footage that the FBI gave us would have shown this man laying in the prone position and taking that shot. So I'm not trying to push any narrative. I'm saying at the very least what I want is just 10 seconds, 15 seconds longer of the video that you've already gave us. So then he went back to the crime scene, and there's not only one CCTV camera there, there's 2 cameras, and I showed this to Myron as well.
Wait, I just want to clarify that when you're discussing the 3 seconds, are you referring to device timestamps, or are you saying regardless of the time it was in the video, it was 3 seconds?
I'm saying in the video in the cafeteria, he's running on the roof. You see that. And then you see the crowd scrouching down. The crowd in that video just realized Charlie had been shot. So then I went to the outside video and I'm watching and I watched the shot go off and you hear bang and I go, okay, I'm just watching the timestamp on the video, how long it takes the crowd to actually start scrouching down. And that's
Can we pull
roughly
up the
3
video
seconds.
for them so they can see?
Yeah, you can if you want. I can airdrop it to you.
Do you have it on? Do you have it on X?
I do have it on X.
I can go to your X account.
Yeah, that way the audience can kind of hear. I mean, my thing on this is,
which
yeah, I got to find it. It's gonna. I put
Ryan Matta 8.
Ryan Matta Media.
yeah, the information around this case is changing like every day,
There's so
man.
many-
But so let me try and understand what you're saying though. So in both videos, it's 3 seconds.
Yeah, it takes the crowd 3 seconds to sit down, and then you go back into the cafeteria and you go look at you're watching the crowd.
You're saying the crowd in the cafeteria ducked before the crowd outside.
No, I'm saying you're seeing him in the cafeteria view. You see the man running across the roof, and you know that he's running. And in that video, you can also see the crowd starting to scrouch down.
It's very popular. You guys have probably seen it. It was.
I haven't.
On the first day it came out,
got it
the
right
shooting
here.
happened. Everyone.
Oh,
saw it.
right. The
Yeah,
video,
it was
yes.
like someone's recording inside a building, and you can see a dark figure running across the roof.
Right, I remember that for
Which
sure.
We'll show it for the audience.
But I'm just.
How do I airdrop this to you?
You can't.
Fuck.
Well, I'm trying to understand what you're saying between these two videos. I don't understand.
Okay, just watch the press play.
So it's the time difference between the motion of the crowd and the motion.
I know, but what does that mean?
That means that the man is running on the roof within 3 seconds of the shot being fired.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a sniper, you're laying on the roof, you take this shot, and somehow you magically are up in a full sprint with the rifle in hand within 3 seconds.
Have you ever? But 3 seconds is a long time.
I know, but what I'm saying is, I just want the FBI to release the video. If they would have released it, they released it specifically 3 seconds after Charlie was shot.
I think this is a screenshot.
Press play.
No, it's
FOIA request?
Scroll left to right there.
it's an
You
image.
made a FOIA request? Actually, it's
A
ongoing.
gentleman made the first FOIA request 2 days ago.
Okay.
So
Camelot something.
one thing that
But-
bothers me about this.
Sorry.
Good.
You guys ever see the MythBusters thing where they test a knife versus a gun, and it's like at 21 yards you can stab a guy before he can draw on you?
Oh, when I was in the academy, and for the audience that doesn't know, I used to be an agent with Homeland Security Investigations. They would show you that stuff all the time to train you. Like, hey, if someone has a knife, you need to get your gun out as quickly as possible because they can close the distance.
Right.
It's one of the core things they teach you in every law enforcement academy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with your point on the we should get more. Where's the rest of the footage of this? But and I'm not saying this. I'm just kind of adding this in my view. It looks like it makes sense that someone took a shot and then immediately just bolted.
Yep. And then can I add to this?
Yeah,
Can I
go
add to
ahead,
this? So then Candace goes, 2 days ago, she went and tracked down the very first video of the guys that are kind of walking up and they go, hey, is there somebody on that roof up there?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that video, they're going, man, the guy just ran across. Is he already in position? So Candace went and got the timestamp of that video. That's at 12:22. So this man runs across the roof. This is what we know. This is just the evidence that we've been presented, right? The man runs across the roof, gets into prone position, takes the shot and fires the shot within 1 minute, and then within 3 seconds is in a full sprint off that roof. And there's 2 cameras that the FBI has, 2 CCTV videos that we know that they have.
Yep.
And that's all I'm asking for. Is you guys want to prove this narrative, then it's so simple. Just release the video that shows him taking that shot and getting up and grabbing his rifle, and then we can put all the
Let me add to that.
conspiracy
That's what has me skeptical. The official narrative has me very skeptical on a couple of things, and one of the things that bothers me is like, remember when they released that footage when they were trying to identify him and he jumps off?
Yeah.
They don't show you where he's there and takes the shot, right? So I'm like, why did you guys not show us that so that we can like literally see him taking the shot, getting up, running across, so that we know he's a shooter? They purposely left that out.
Well,
So-
yeah, but is that like sensitivity reasons maybe? Like we don't want to show the actual murder.
Well, here's the thing. I think if you're going to put it out anyway to try to get the guy identified, you should put out everything.
Well,
and the fact that they didn't show that bothers me.
I mean, I would defer to you. You did law enforcement.
Yeah.
But my concern would be, could that compromise a criminal case against him?
No, because
What if there's something in it that is identifying that if you release to the public, you could get false confessions or right? They don't want to. They don't. Maybe he did something unique that they can prove in court that nobody knows, and they don't want these.
Yeah, of course. But when you got a case of this type of magnitude where, you have an enormous burden of bearing some type of public trust and people are asking questions, and obviously Kash Patel is like, look, I'm going to try to be the most transparent FBI. They should release that. And what I will also say is that I think it's important that we understand that he was charged by the state, which means since he was charged by the state, it's actually the Utah law enforcement locals that are running the case. It's actually DPS.
There's been no federal indictment.
It's not
of him?
FBI that's lead like people think.
I thought the feds are trying to bring charges.
They are, but at this point, the state's running the criminal investigation since it's going through a state court.
Well, if the state's looking to bring charges, wouldn't the state say, look, this is the evidence that we don't want you to make public because we're building a case?
And the
You mean
feds
from the federal perspective?
Yeah, it's from the feds?
You could, I mean, I don't see, if you already released the footage in an effort to try to identify the guy when he's jumping off, I don't see why not releasing him taking the shot would be, or at least him in a prone position. You can at least show us that. But it is I'm very skeptical of the fact that it didn't show everything from that point since they already showed him jumping off the roof. And then the fact that there's a second camera angle.
I do want to just start because this I appreciate tremendously. Like these videos of palm guns and other weird stuff, it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
There's like 5 conspiracies where everyone's arguing like of their 5 magic shooters. Here's
Yeah.
And that's a big reason why I think they need to release it because now, right? So you have to wait. Okay, if I'm the case agent, right? I'm the case agent and Patel is the director, right? You're in a weird spot because this is a huge case. The people want to know what's going on. We already know that no one trusts the FBI anymore, right? So it's like, is it going to hurt your investigation significantly when you already released a portion of the video from a criminal investigative standpoint? I don't think it does at this point.
Well, hold on.
You might as well release it. We got the affidavits. They put their PC out there.
Unless there's something in the video we don't know that they don't want to release, right? And that's the challenge. There may be something. I would say this.
Sure, they could be. Yeah, you're right.
I'll put it like this. I agree with you. And that I think in most circumstances, the probability is they should release it so that we know and it puts all of this stuff to bed. Because, dude, it is frustrating when I'm like watching these videos that are intentional click and rage bait that are distracting. I've made this point about conspiracy theories quite a bit. one of the strategies of intelligence agencies to kill a conspiracy theory is to throw false theories out.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's put this to bed. So, but I agree with you. But then I would also wonder, what if there's like, this is the 5% time where there's something unique to the case we don't know that could compromise their investigation? Like, what if there is a potential link between, let's put it this way, and this is just hyper speculation to make an example.
Sure.
The conversation between the suspected assassin and the trans-furry boyfriend is, well, I'm just trying to be factual, is no one believes it's real.
Right.
Like, from the far left to the far right to up, down, left, right, everyone's like, are you kidding me? Now, to be fair.
And that's why I think they should release it. Like, I would take losing a little bit of leverage in a criminal investigation to get public trust.
Let me make this point. So Matt Walsh's theory is that they scripted this conversation immediately afterwards to create reasonable doubt in the event the boyfriend's ever charged with something as an accomplice. The boyfriend can they then go to trial and say, look at this message. It proves the boyfriend didn't know, or at bare minimum, presents reasonable doubt. I don't know. All we can say is it's really weird. There have been some people who have said, trust me, there are these online accounts that track the far left, and they're like, these wacko trans-furry internet anime dudes literally talk like this because they've got some kind of like developmental weird social thing. But, and this is again, just for the purpose of example, what if in the video it shows potential contact or some kind of connection between the boyfriend and accomplice and the shooter? They're not releasing it because they don't want the public to get access to this information, which could benefit a trans cult that did this. Like, they don't want, they're investigating this Utah-based trans queer rifle group or whatever, as well as a bunch of Discord groups. Kash and the Utah government may be thinking, we don't want them to know we have this information. They will use that to their advantage to try and escape or get away with it or craft, some kind of alternative theories.
Let me add to that. So the first thing that they told us was there was this big plot on Discord. And then the day after, the CEO of Discord comes out and says, we've reviewed every single piece of communication that Tyler made on Discord, and there was never any plotting or planning of any type of violence. Now, when you talk about conspiracy theories, so Blake Bednar is the man who also broke the story about him, like the crowd crouching down. Blake is working with a group of independent journalists. These are students at the university that have been just relentless at about going through and finding every piece of footage. So in the original video, that 60-minute live stream, there's a part of the video where you can see this man filming on the railing that's directly across from Charlie, probably 45, 50 yards out, and he's filming with this high-end Sony camera. So Blake was able to track this man down. He got the footage from this man, and yesterday, for the first time, we were able to see what actually happened in really clear, crispy 4K video, unedited. And in that video, you see, and I showed it to Myron on the way here, you see, and I sent it to Tim News IRL on X if you want to pull it up. His Blake Bednar's. You see a device. Something goes off under his shirt. Now, this is the first conspiracy theory that I've actually entertained the thought of.
Under Charlie's shirt?
Yeah, where his microphone is. Something goes off, and you see this thing go up into his shirt. It's like something was under his shirt, and it goes up like this, and it snaps. And then at the same time, the necklace, he's wearing a steel necklace or a silver necklace. The necklace snaps in the front and then blows off over his head. What detonated? What went off under that shirt? What was that? For the first time, we actually see the cloud of, like, is it a cloud of dust or a cloud of smoke? Myron, you can comment on it. You saw it.
Yeah, no, but go ahead.
That was a big leap from there's something in the video to a detonation occurred under his shirt.
Well, I don't know. How do you explain what would cause this dust? Maybe it was just the way his body reacted and the mic kind of came up and something broke in the mic. That when the necklace broke, it kind of broke that thing. But something like shoots up. It looks like it shoots up, it goes up into his shirt and then instantly snaps back down in slow motion. And all the experts that were saying that he originally was wearing a bulletproof vest, they're going, you're watching something like, they said that—
They're not experts when they said that.
Well, they're saying that his body reacted before you actually seen the hole. So his body recoiled, and then all of a sudden it was like something hit the vest and the bullet shot up into his neck.
But again, these people are not experts. Like, you know this. You're going to see the body hit before you're going to see a hole break.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, so
like the body armor thing was so annoying.
Pull up that video and watch
because
it.
There's just photos of it. You can see his nipples, and then people started saying, "Oh no, it's a central plate over his heart." I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, people are
the
saying
thing
that
is that there's so many different, because with this situation, first it was he had bulletproof armor and it ricocheted up and hit him in the neck. Then it was no, his nipples are showing. There's no way he had body armor. Then it's like, oh no, the device exploded, under his shirt. Other people said, well, the rifle is so powerful that it just blew the shirt up. Like, I've heard so many different theories, and it's like, at this point, I don't know what to believe. I'm obviously like looking at all the evidence. I'm just extremely skeptical of everything they've been telling us because it's like, one thing comes out and they're like, oh no, that's not true. Like I just heard that the rifle you were telling me that they had the picture of, that's not even the rifle that they seized.
I'm pretty official.
And then no serial number on the rifle. Like what?
So the first thing is the photo that came out of the rifle.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not an antique Mauser. That was my first thought.
Yeah, it was a modern one. It was a modern looking one.
It looks modern plastic. I mean, but hey, look, I don't know.
And then too.
Wait, was it a Mauser?
Yeah, it was. And then that's another thing. Let's be honest here. Rest in peace to Charlie. But if you got hit by that round, it would have that
one I disagree with.
And I want to say this too: is there's no official. There's no official reporting that says it's a 30-06. That is only came from the Turning Point team, that the Jan who released that. In the indictment, it says bolt action rifle. So what the FBI has been doing is they've been coming back, and after we eat their theories apart, they go, "Wait, where'd you hear that at? That was not an official narrative. We never said that. That came from the media or somebody else." I'm saying there's nothing official that I've seen yet that says a 30-06.
That's important. I didn't know that.
All right.
That's good.
Yeah, I didn't know that either because everyone has been 30-06. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and maybe I'm wrong. So maybe somebody in the live chat can pull up an FBI document or something official that shows.
Where did that come from? That
this was Crowder's reporting, wasn't it?
Pull it up. See if there's anything.
30-06. Yeah.
In the indictment, in the charges.
It was that DOJ document.
Yeah, and that came from ATF, by the way. That the lead agency on guns.
That's right.
Because in the charging document, it only says bolt action rifle. That was the 10-page PDF that they released.
Yeah,
5 or 6 days ago.
But
so
keep
maybe
in mind, with these criminal complaints, they don't have they put the minimum for probable cause. So like when I was an agent, you're gonna put the least amount you need just to get paper on them and put them.
So
in jail.
let me pull this in.
Yeah, because it was Crowder that reported it.
Yeah, so this is DOJ.gov ATF document that says, it'll probably be easier to read if I just do this.
Yeah.
It says the ATF and other law enforcement located an older model imported Mauser 30-06 caliber bolt action rifle wrapped in a towel in a wooded area near the campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the important thing.
That's
we don't know what that rifle was even run on the
list. It's still fair to say this does not confirm it, and I would wait for an official statement. And the reason why is this is the initial report they got, which also mentions cartridges expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. It is fair to say that what was written on that could be better described. Transgender and anti-fascist ideology is not incorrect, but is it possible that the initial report from the ATF when they found the rifle was the presumption of a 30-06 they included in their report, and then later they were like, oh, actually, it was a 308? Like this was not an official release, so I think we should be careful.
Of course, but I will say this: they subpoenaed him for this. So
I know.
Yeah, so that's
real. It's real.
Yeah, it's real. That means it's definitely real. It's probably mostly accurate because the fact that they subpoenaed him so quickly after, there's definitely an internal affairs DOJ. I'm
just saying, is it possible when the ATF when the law enforcement found it, a guy who didn't know said 30-06 but wasn't sure, like made a mistake?
Nah, all those guys at ATF are
no. This was law enforcement who recovered it, not ATF.
No.
ATF
But this is internal documents from the ATF,
and we don't even know if that was
what they're saying.
Right.
We don't know if that was the gun he had the roof. They found
every ATF agent.
Right.
Is a gun expert. They have one of the most intensive academies when it comes to firearms and identifying firearms because if you charge someone with 18 U.S.C. 922, right, which is found in possession of a firearm, one of the things you need to establish is something called interstate nexus. And for you to establish interstate nexus, you need to have the firearm, do a test fire, and then establish that different parts of that gun come from different places, therefore affecting interstate commerce. That's how the feds get the jurisdiction. So everyone at the ATF, especially the agents, all have a ridiculous amount of knowledge for the guns because they have a very difficult test to graduate their academy.
This is actually a really good breakdown or pause point to say we're not even thinking that. You're right. They found a gun. We don't know for sure this is the gun that he had. We assume it is. Now, I do...
Based off the text messages.
Exactly.
Which are weird.
And if there was multiple people involved, that could have been the trans boyfriend's gun that was waiting for backup fire or anything. We don't know.
Exactly. The trans boyfriend. And again, why the messages are so weird, that may have been crafted. Listen, what if some have speculated the trans boyfriend is the actual shooter and that the guy who got arrested is just taking the fall for it? I mean, honestly, we have no idea, but you make a good point. What if the reason those messages were crafted was because the boyfriend was like, they're going to find the backup gun?
Yeah, it's true. He vanished yesterday, by the way.
Yeah.
You're right.
He's gone missing, yeah.
Well, people have said, the neighbors have said the mail is piling up. They don't know where he's at. Why wouldn't you?
I would be gone.
Seems like
I would have been in Mexico.
Now, again, I want to stress this. I think it's absolutely fair to look at all the evidence laid before us. You made a great point that the FBI has not formally stated it's a 30-6. That I was unaware of. The knowledge of this comes from a leaked message for which Crowder's been subpoenaed for. So right now,
but this is ATF. So I would say
right. But my point is,
but yeah, go ahead.
A weapon was found does not mean weapon was used, and these distinctions are important. I would lean towards. I think the feds are probably looking at this suspected shooter being like, we know we got him, but we don't get how. Like, how does this all come together and make sense? These other narratives about palm guns, and I'm going to say it, the Israel stuff, I'm like, just stop. I'm with Nick Fuentes on this one. Like, literally within 3 hours, people were like, Israel did it. And I'm like, guys, come on. I will also add, this is really funny. There's this video. It's got 6 million views from Range Day Bro, which I'm not going to show. He actually shows a bit. I'm not going to play it. I just got to say to Range Day Bro, I watched the video. And there's a point where he explains that Charlie Kirk was shot from behind, but then shows a video of the people in front of Charlie Kirk and says that's where the shooter may have been. And I'm like, but that's in front of Charlie Kirk. So how could it have come from behind and the front? That being said, he points to this grainy image, which I might be able to highlight without actually showing anything graphic.
That's a good
This
one.
right here. Pull this up. So this right here is what he says is in front of Charlie Kirk is a bush which appears to show a man crouched and with a weapon. I certainly would argue it does not. It is a grainy blotch for which I have no idea what that is.
Oh, it's a bush. I got the original. I had a guy go back and take a photo of it.
You want to know what the funniest thing is, though?
Oh, that's a bush right there?
Yeah,
Hold on.
complete bush. Yeah.
I screen grabbed this. I put it into ChatGPT and I said, enhance. And do you know what it gave me? I'm going to pull up this image. I'm going to pull up this image so you can see what it showed me when, let me see if I can, I got it right here. Let me,
It's the friend.
here you go. Wait, hold on. Nope. Here it is.
Ukraine. Yeah.
This is not a joke.
Joe Biden.
I took a
in Marine
screenshot
Corps
and I wrote,
camo.
enhance this image to full clarity. And it gave me an image of Joe Biden in
Marine Corps camo.
Marine Corps camo.
That's funny.
Marpat.
So anyway, I'll just, there's a lot of people who are getting angry about the conspiracy theories and all that stuff. And my attitude is, I think it is important that we assess this stuff. I think you're actually bringing up really great points about what we do know and what's confirmed by law enforcement and what's not. But like, look at this thing.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way. I think the best way to handle this is like, as evidence comes in, you keep an open mind, analyze the evidence, see how credible it is, link it with whatever other evidence you have. And, you know, there's just been so many different theories that have come out there.
The palm gun one has to be one of the dumbest.
Yeah, palm gun, Israel, a shooter behind him, the
Flash in the corner.
Flash in the corner. Or I saw one.
Oh,
where
yeah.
Someone said a rifle was out of a window.
Yeah, the guys are giving baseball signs.
A doctor was on the scene the next day, disguised, got
Trapdoors.
arrested. Zinn, there's so many different.
you know,
he's
my-
definitely crazy.
You know what you know about the trap door, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, the trap door. Yeah, I heard.
And
about
you know
that
what?
one
You know
too.
what?
It's
You know
like,
what?
goddamn.
And you know what one of the theories is, right?
No.
That Charlie's alive.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And he went through the trap door. I'm like, guys, holy crap. The phone calls that I was getting of people like freaking out, crying. I'm like, they killed Charlie Kirk, dude. And it's weird to me that these conspiracy theories are, is it for views? I don't know, but it's effectively absolving violent far leftists that have been threatening Charlie Kirk's life for a long time and who are the primary suspects in this.
A lot of the conspiracy theorists, I really still believe that there are so many people that feel like they got taken by the government when it comes to the COVID narrative or other things that have come to light in the past that the government's admitted to lying about. They're like, well, you're not going to get me again. So whatever the government says, they don't believe, and they will look for. And that's why they're looking. There's so many different narratives now. They're looking for another narrative that the government doesn't line up with what the official narrative is, because they don't want to feel like they got tricked by the government.
I want to say this too. I want to say this. So Israel is our greatest ally, and they're really in a bad spot right now, right? Okay, so they're really in a bad spot publicly and with both left and right. Now, there's probably 50 to 75% of people are convinced that Israel was involved in this in some way, shape, or form. If you're the FBI,
75%,
and you can, if you're the FBI, you're Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA had 3 cameras filming at 30 to 60 frames per second. They're Sony FX3s or FX30s with G Master lenses on them. There's 3 of cameras within 7 feet of Charlie. You can see 2, at least 1 in the right edge of that corner right there. There's 1 right to his left, and there's 1 directly behind him. We also have Turning Point employees tampering with an active crime scene, which I vouch for them. I said, as a videographer, I don't trust this FBI. If I thought that I had video footage of Charlie's assassin on one of my memory cards, and I'm thinking that the FBI is going to get the only video footage of this evidence, I would have taken that memory card too. And then Ian Carroll goes, yeah, but you're the type of dude who would have uploaded it online immediately after. And I go, that's the first thing I would have did is uploaded that. So you're right. I wouldn't have taken those cards and hid that footage. Candace says she's seen the footage, but she's only seen the camera from behind him.
And she saw it on FaceTime.
Yes, and there's 2 cameras directly in front of him. So all I'm saying is if it is their obligation, because it would totally dismiss every conspiracy theory. Give us the video of him getting on the roof. Give us 2 more minutes of the video that you've already released. And if you can't do that, then you're hiding something, period.
And that's my position. Like,
well, of course they're hiding something.
Like what Phil's saying.
They're
like,
always hiding something.
People don't trust the government anymore. And Kash
anymore?
Came in. They don't. Like, well, they did before, but like a little bit more than now. But like people don't trust the government.
COVID.
Like government approval ratings and trust has dropped off precipitously. And obviously, Kash is like, look, I'm going to come in. I'm going to be more transparent, etc. This case obviously is huge. People are interested in knowing what's going on. I do think they should be a bit more transparent with this case because here's the thing: when you aren't transparent, and since people have been duped by the U.S. government for so long, that's where all these theories come.
Exactly.
So they need to get ahead of this. And because me and Ryan were talking about this too, because he was saying like, look, if a bad narrative comes out, are the feds going to come in and correct it? Let me put my agent hat back on. No, you're not going to correct it. You're going to be like, let them run with whatever they want. I'm still running my case. You're not going to care if I'm the investigator. But the problem is now you're getting to a point where people don't trust the government. So you need to be transparent to some degree, especially at least to deal with some of these conspiracy theories because they run wild when you don't present everything.
And he addressed the one with the plane. Kash has been literally going and addressing conspiracy theories on his personal Twitter account.
Because here's the other thing too. The press conferences that they've done are fucking garbage. Like they don't talk about anything. They don't answer anything. They let the stupid governor talk. Put a law enforcement guy there that's running the case.
What you're describing is but there's 2 different ends that you're talking about, right? Like what the FBI is looking for is to have the proper process, ostensibly to have the proper process to find the person guilty and then put him in jail. What's good for the overall government is not what's good for the FBI in that process. What's good for the overall government and for the American people are different because it's better for the overall government to release all the information as much as you can, so that way that might hopefully help to reinstill trust in the government. Okay, they gave us all the information. Maybe this time, maybe the Trump administration is actually doing better. Maybe it's getting better. But for the FBI, it's much better for them to keep all of the information that they can as close to their chest as possible.
And let me tell you guys how the FBI works. As someone who's worked with them several times, they have a very bad habit of classifying everything, not sharing information, not being transparent. It's a very bad habit. I'll tell you guys a funny story. I was working a Hawala case. This is like 10 years ago, right? On a group of people that might have been suspected of some terrorism, right? And I gave them information on some flight records, right? Because HSI has access to everyone coming in and out of the country to help them out. I called them back because I didn't have access to, I was out in the field or some shit like that. I hit the back. I was like, hey, what was that info on the travel stuff that I gave you? Oh, I can't disclose that. It's classified. I'm like, I gave you that. What are you talking about? It's classified. But they have a very bad habit of over-classifying things and not being transparent. So, and this is why people don't trust them anymore. And this is why other law enforcement agencies hate working with them because they just have this very bad habit of stealing information. If they get it, they don't share information. They classify everything. So I think at this point, with the huge amount of distrust what the public has with the FBI, they need to come out and at least dispel these myths. And for example, releasing the full footage of the guy shooting the gun, then getting up and running across the roof. That's not going to hurt your investigation, dude. Put that out. But they haven't.
I want to read this. This is what FBI posted. He says, as a director of the FBI, I'm committed to ensuring the investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassination is thorough and exhaustive, pursuing every lead to its conclusion. The full weight of America's law enforcement agencies are actively following the evidence that has emerged, but our efforts extend beyond initial findings. We are examining every facet of this assassination. We are meticulously investigating theories and questions, including the location from where the shot was taken, the possibility of accomplices, the text message confession and related conversations, Discord chats, the angle of the shot and the bullet impact, how the weapon was transported, hand gestures observed as potential signals near Charlie at the time of the assassination, and visitors to the alleged shooter's residence in the hours and days leading up to September 10th. Some details are known today, while others are still being pursued. To ensure every possibility is considered, our primary focus is to complete this investigation and deliver justice. To protect the integrity of the investigation and subsequent prosecution, we cannot release every piece of information we have to the public right now. We will ensure every question is addressed at the appropriate moment. Regarding specific details, such as questions about the plane that allegedly turned off its transponder and after departing from an airport near the assassination site, we can share updates when answers are confirmed. After interviews with the pilot and the consultation with the FAA, we determined the transponder was not turned off. Incomplete flight data in rural areas caused the apparent gap. The entire FBI mourns the loss of Charlie Kirk. We will not rest until justice is served, and our investigation into this assassination will continue until every question is answered. What I want to say about Kash, and this especially,
I give him credit compared to other FBI directors, and I did give him a credit on this compared to Ray and all the other guys before him. He's way better.
He's trying to be transparent, but what I will say is there are two principal scenarios with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, and the reason why I lean towards they are telling the truth is either Kash and Dan are in on the conspiracy, whatever it may be, or they're telling us the truth. I do not believe that Kash and Dan Bongino, who are really good friends with Charlie, would have allowed him to be murdered
for sure, and
would be in on anything like that. The only argument to that is the theory that Charlie Kirk escaped through a trap door and the whole thing was fake, and Kash and Dan and Charlie are. There's no way, dude.
Okay, well, what about?
You make so many leaps.
Look,
okay, hold on.
I think he's an improvement from before, of course, right? Being more transparent, but I do think this isn't a JTTF case. This isn't a terrorism case. This isn't a high side case. This is basically, it's a murder investigation. Yeah. I think they can release a bit more.
Now, doesn't Kash Patel, isn't it FBI policy that him and Bongino both, because they're emotionally, neither of them would have had their positions that they would have got appointed by the Trump administration if it wasn't for the work that Charlie Kirk and his organization did? Isn't it policy that they would recuse themselves from this investigation? And then take it a step further and you go, okay, hold on.
Keep in mind, they're not the case agents.
Let's address that one.
Let me, you can break that down. But what I want to make this last point is that, okay, so if they can't release this video that shows Tyler in the prone position taking this shot, and this does become something bigger. You now have George then with the patsy, then that would make Tyler and them on the roof, that guy not be the shooter. And then you start to look at all the moving parts and you go, well, who would be capable of carrying that out? And then you have just now released that there was no autopsy done, that the doctor just signed off the death certificate and there was no autopsy actually done. And they did find the bullet or they didn't find the bullet. And according to the Turning Point spokesperson, he got information from a doctor, which would violate every HIPAA law, and released information without a written statement.
That's not true.
Okay, well maybe that's not true then. But still, you got
which part isn't true? The
HIPAA stuff. It's like I don't know. Like there's like the first thing that I heard. There is so much speculative movie based stuff like the HIPAA thing. Yeah. The first thing I heard from everybody was that was a professional shot. And I'm like, why did you make that up? Like, I'm not saying an individual. We had a guest on and they were like, that was a professional shot. And I was like, who told you that? Because that is not true. Phil knows this better than I do. I go to the range. I watch a 12-year-old with a bolt action make every shot from 100 yards, a 12-year-old, because his dad was like, I'm going to zero. He got him a new rifle. We're out in West Virginia. This is common stuff. And I am far from an expert. But iron sights with my 480 with slugs, I don't miss at 50 yards.
Yeah, shooting a rifle, people don't know this, is actually significantly easier than shooting a handgun.
Yeah, I suck with handguns.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that because then people know, but I'm bad.
Rifles are way easier to shoot than handguns. But, I do think, releasing that footage wouldn't hurt. But yeah, there's been, the autopsy thing you were mentioning. And then, like, I think the New York Post reported a couple days ago that the surgeon said, oh, he blocked, he has really, his bones blocked the bullet.
But look, so a statement was made. Andrew Colvett came out and he wrote this big long thing saying, I talked to the doctor.
It was a miracle.
The family has agreed that I can release this information. So this would in no way violate HIPAA. If a doctor was talking.
Document signed according to their law. I'm looking it up right now.
So why wouldn't Colvett have that? I don't understand.
That's true. He's very possible that he had that.
I mean, he's literally friends with the family, helps work on
Turning
Turning
Point.
Too. And Erica certainly would want people to know.
So they said there's an autopsy. Then this news comes out today saying there was an autopsy on the dispatch, and we haven't seen an autopsy report. I'd like to see that too.
I think it's fair to question if we're getting conflicting reports. Especially.
It said that he can. He said no, a doctor in Utah generally cannot disclose deceased information. Oh, maybe he can. I don't know.
The other thing I want to mention too in this regard with, like, you mentioned Kash being too close to this case. People need to understand that we don't live in a locked, rigid world of laws. The only laws that actually bind us are the physical laws, and laws are ignored all the time. It's not about what the law says. It's about what people are willing to do. And if we're so I'll just say this: fair point. If the law says you can't, certainly never stop the bank robber. So if people are like, but he wouldn't be allowed to share that because of HIPAA, I'm like, unless they just said they did not care and did it anyway. Because who's going to go after him? The governor of Utah? No way.
Let me explain this real quick because this is important. So, as a director of the FBI, right, you're so high up, like he's not running the case.
Yeah.
There's going to be an FBI special agent, a GS-13, that's probably going to be running this investigation with a squad where there's an SSA or supervisory special agent over him, then an ASAC and everything else like that. So on the ground, when it comes to interviewing subjects, collecting evidence, etc., Kash isn't doing that. There's a group that's doing that in Utah, probably out of that field office. Now, obviously, they're reporting what they're finding up the chain to him, but as far as like making decisions on the investigation, that's on the case agent. So he's going to know everything.
So about the bullet, the exit wound stuff, there are a bunch of these videos from gun guys who they've done ballistics tests, they've gone viral. And what I don't understand about this is that, well, I don't want to impugn anyone's honor, so I won't say anyone specifically, but it took me just a couple of seconds to make a few phone calls from ballistic experts, gun guys, and then backing it up with general research to find that a 30-06 does stop in the body. That the argument that people are making that it would have blown his neck out and there would have been a massive exit wound is the general assessment from everyone I've talked to and read is probably, but not always. And so to the point you made about Colvett saying it was like a magic bullet, or not, he didn't say it was a magic bullet. He said Charlie was so young and strong that his body stopped the bullet and he saved other
Yeah,
he saved
his
people's
bone
lives.
stopped it or something like that.
And that's probable. Or I should say that is possible is a better way to describe it. Yeah. So I made some calls. I asked some people. I did some online research. And we even have a super chat right here. Everyday Tinkerer says, the explosion honestly looks to me like cavitation. If it was a 30-06, 125 grain, SST, NOS, BT, WinXP would be light enough not to exit and cause massive cavitation. Yep. When you watch the video, when I watched that video, this was my...
Was it a lower quality version of the round?
It's smaller. The small, lightweight, so the grains of the bullet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You can get
smaller.
A 30 caliber bullet. You can get a bunch of different weights.
And maybe what, like soft tip, like 9?
This is because I'm thinking in my head like there's 9mm that's like that sucks, and there's 9mm that's really good.
Yeah, so like
right?
a 9mm. Sometimes it's like you can get them that are 115 or 145 grains. That's the weight of the bullet.
So we all saw the video. When I was at a restaurant with my family or with friends and my wife, my family, and I have told this story before. The first video that I saw, I thought the quality is low. It's far away. I was like, maybe a handgun up close, Charlie can survive. And the initial rumors that were going around was that a man was screaming at him. This is what people were saying. A man was screaming at him about trans people and then shot him. And so when I saw the video, I was like, that maybe it was a small caliber handgun. I think Charlie will be okay. Luke Rutkowski hit me up and he was like, long story short, there's no way. You got to see this other video. As soon as I saw the first frame of the video, I knew that Charlie was gone. More importantly than for most people, I know this is pretty gruesome to talk about, but we're trying to get to this, right? We're trying to understand what's going on. The blood that comes out. Charlie's lights went out instantly. Yeah. Which indicates it hit his spine.
I agree.
Probably.
And so when people are saying, where's the exit wound? I'm like, a bullet entering from a high angle at a downward angle struck Charlie's spine, stopping the bullet from exiting and knocking and killing him instantly. And Frank Turek said the same thing. When they brought him to the vehicle, he was in the car and they were trying to stop the bleeding. He knew that Charlie was already gone, that his lights went out in an instant. And
you were able to get a pulse back on him, right, when he got to the hospital for a short period of time? That's what I was told.
And that's where, right. And that's, so I also had a high-level source, a direct source, saying that they stabilized Charlie. And people got mad at me for tweeting that, but I'm like, you know what, man? This is the human emotional state.
I'm glad you did, bro, because I was on stream and you did that, and I know, like, I was like, okay, maybe we got a glimmer of hope here.
I got a message, made a phone call. They said Charlie is stable, and I said, can I report this? And they said yes, they've stabilized him. He's critical but stable. AP reported the same thing external to me. Yep. And the reason, and then I will add to this too. I think everybody who knew Charlie knew he was dead the moment he died, but no one said a word online. And it wasn't until 15 or 20 minutes later that the first
When Trump put it out, that's when.
Well, I believe it was Just the News that made the official statement.
That was 90 minutes later, I thought.
90 minutes after he died?
No, yeah, after he was shot.
After he was shot.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I had received phone calls from people like screaming and crying, and this is really hard, telling me that he was dead, and we all knew it before he was dead, and nobody would put it out. Nobody would tweet it. Libby was saying, she told her newsroom, we will be the last people to report this if we have to. Nobody wanted to say it. We didn't want to believe it was true. When I was told that he was stable, we wanted to believe that he was stable and this wasn't going to be what happened. So back to the point about the 30-06, all these people are, coming out being like, oh, it was a magic bullet. I'm like, no, dude, the bullet entered at an angle. It hit his spine, deflected inward, did not exit the body, and it killed him instantly.
Bullets do real weird stuff when they go, like once they go inside your body, they hit it. They'll follow bones. They'll get deflected into all kinds of weird ways. They break apart weird. They do weird shit when when you get shot. Like the bullet itself, they do weird shit.
And the quality of the bullet matters.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is why law enforcement went from a 9 to a 40, then they went back to the 9, but it's high quality 9 now.
Yep.
So
Do you think it's possible? Because it was like they said it was like an old gun he
they
had.
said it was a World War I gun.
Maybe the bullet was very, very old. I mean, would that have an impact? I don't know.
It could look.
Anyone's guess is.
The other thing.
I think that it was a lightweight bullet. I think that it was like.
So we officially don't have a picture of the gun, do we? We don't.
Well.
No. It was.
They put out an
caliber,
image.
just the
Yeah,
weight
but
of
that's
the-
not it.
I don't know.
Yeah. So that's crazy. We don't even have a photo of the real gun.
I do want to point out too.
Well, Kash Patel was financially involved, right? Like, he should have recused himself. I mean, he was literally helped promote Kash's Fight with Kash. He brought him on his show. And when I was trying to promote my documentary, it wasn't directly through Charlie. I would have to go through another ad, like a company that was kind of working with Charlie and could get me on his podcast. But it was like $25,000 to get on there for a show. So like that's a big financial investment. He could bring you on a show, whether it was for free or whether it was to say thank you or whatever the reason was. There is a direct tie between the Kash's nonprofit and Charlie Kirk helping promote it and fundraise for it. So you have that. Plus, you have the emotional fact that he was involved by just getting confirmed. I mean, it was Charlie who put together the Only Kash. Remember the Only Kash thing that was going around when trying to get Kash confirmed? So you have two direct conflict of interest where you would think that he would say, this according to Kyle Seraphin, would say that, like, hey, listen, I'm financially or emotionally involved. Me and Dan Bongino are both going to personally recuse ourselves from this investigation. We're not going to look at it. We're not going to touch it. We fully trust our secretary, the new agent in charge, the ASEC in charge, and we're going to leave the investigation right there. We're going to part ways.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones.
But that's
FBI policy. That's their policy,
but,
not my opinion. Their policy.
And so they broke the policy. This is the thing about when your good friend is murdered, you're going to be like, stop me.
Doesn't that go against the defense attorneys? Aren't they going to have a problem when Kash Patel is violating their own policy?
I gotta be honest, dude. There are things that I would do that are indescribable, regardless of what the policy states. And we have to understand, once again, we can make a procedural argument, but Kash is violating policy. And I'd be like, I'm sure Kash would have beaten that man to death with his bare hands if he was there. So to say that Kash and Dan would not fly out for the murder of their friend
he
because
didn't.
of policy.
For 2 hours, 2 hours after this story broke, after Charlie was shot, Kash was dining at an upscale New York restaurant. You can fact check me on that.
And making a phone call to charter
for
a plane.
For 12 hours, Kash did not even receive a photo of the suspect for 12 hours after the investigation. How are you the FBI director? Please explain this to me. Your buddy, your best friend, Charlie Kirk, takes a bullet to the neck. Then you go out and get a steak dinner, and then 12 hours later, you still haven't seen a photo of the suspect.
I was eating Thai food when Charlie Kirk was murdered, and I stayed there to finish my meal after watching a video of him die. We don't know the inner workings of what Kash had to do when he was. Where was he? Was he in New York?
Yeah, New York at an upscale restaurant.
He's in New York, and he finds out this happens. I'll tell you, I can't speak for Kash. I'll tell you what I do. If I was the head of the FBI, based on how my life works and how we deal with things, chartering a plane is not something you can do instantly.
He has a private jet.
And chartering a private jet isn't something you can do instantly. You've got to call in a ground crew. Ground crew has FAA restrictions on when they can fly. This is why when Kanye West came on this show and had a private jet waiting for him, we called shenanigans, because you can't get ground crew. They're under restrictions. It's something I forgot what it was, but he storms out of the show, goes right to the local regional airport, and there's a jet waiting for him with a crew active. And I said, we called our charter company, and they said that's not possible. That he called and got a private jet on the spot like that, because there's FAA restrictions on how long someone has to be awake for, and how long they've been awake they can't fly or something like this. So I'm just saying, there's a million and one There's an infinite possibility of reasons why Kash did not immediately run onto a plane and fly out there, possibly chartering issues. Maybe the plane wasn't even in New York at the time, whatever it might be. I don't think any of that is indicative of potential wrongdoing.
I'll speak to this. Like,
real quick, we can certainly say Kash should have followed policy. He should have recused himself. I'm also going to be like, the things I think Kash and Dan would have done would have probably put them in prison if they were there on the spot. It's like, I'm watching the show Peacemaker, and I know this is just fiction, but it's Rick Flag just mercilessly beats Peacemaker for killing his son, the things a person would do. So getting on a plane, flying there in violation of policy is like the lightest things that you'd probably imagine.
What I'll say, just because as a director, you're really high up and you're the face of the agency. He's not there making on-ground decisions when it comes to the actual investigation. So I think he's far enough removed. Now, if they wanted to play it safe, right, they could have had maybe the other, because aren't there two deputy directors? Yep. They just hired another guy, right? He could have been the one giving the announcements and everything else like that. But I do think it's important for people to understand that, like, it goes special agent, then it goes SSA, then it goes ASAC, assistant special agent in charge, then it goes to SAIC, special agent in charge, then you go into like directors, then you go all the way up and continue to work your way up. So he's very high up where he's basically just reporting, but he's not making on-scene decisions from the case perspective. So, you know, that's what they would probably argue with, because you said, hey, his defense might say, hey, well, aren't you a buddy of this guy? This is a conflict of interest. That's what I predict the FBI will respond. Okay. Off what I know.
Oh, that's smart.
I also think, I'm going to read this Rumble rant from Aussie 97. He says, I think everyone is blowing this up into something bigger than what it was. Everything is happening just as Yuri Bezmenov said in his 1984 interview about Marxist radicalization. There is an angle to this. Let me just first start by saying the conspiracy theories I don't appreciate are like Israel did it. I'm like, Charlie Kirk was actually so pro-Israel. He said he had shockingly offensive jokes about Gaza. You heard that joke he said about no tall buildings anymore?
Yeah.
Now they can't throw gay people off of them. I'm like, I don't think that's a guy that Israel would be upset with. I don't appreciate the weird weapon stuff. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful to people who want to pursue that. Like, I'm not your boss. You can do whatever you want. But I do think there is a possibility of conspiracy beyond the official story we're getting. I think Kash has made that point. He doesn't know when he's investigating. And as to the point about Yuri Bezmenov, I think it's important to consider that the motive for the assassination of Charlie Kirk, excuse me, may not be that this guy is just some fringe lefty wacko who hated Charlie Kirk. It may actually be that these leftists were like, how do we foment conflict and crisis in this country? And the real plan between this trans armed group is more sophisticated than we want to admit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, I want the autopsy and I want the full footage of us seeing this guy take the shot from a prone position, like they're saying, and running across. I want to see that so that we can kind of build, you know, the timeline better. And the fact that like we don't have this stuff, it's creating more questions than answers.
I'll say the same thing.
And which is what's leading to all these different theories.
Yeah. If you can't release that footage, and there is something bigger here, then obviously the first suspect would be Israel, because they literally have an entire Wikipedia page dedicated to previous assassinations that they carried out. They're one of the only militaries that has a special branch that's literally dedicated to specifically carrying out assassinations. So I think that's why everybody's first instinct was going to Israel.
No. The first instinct was Israel because people are obsessed with Israel.
Well, the last 2 weeks of Charlie's career, I mean, he was literally going hard. I mean, he was literally separating himself, and then he turned down $150 million from Netanyahu. And that we were talking about that in the car right over here. That's like sitting down with a mafia boss, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to bring you into the family here. You know what? We're going to give you $1 million, and we're going to make you part of the family. You're now one of us. And you going, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go actually right down the street. I'm going to start my own mafia. And how about that? You're not walking out of that meeting.
So this is the issue I take with it. Right now, Gen Z support for Israel is 24%. Yeah. Charlie Kirk has been holding meetings to convince Gen Z influencers to support Israel.
Well, why did he turn down the $150 million from Netanyahu then?
Didn't want it? I don't know.
I think he was waking up to the fact of what was going on in Gaza.
I think it's silly to argue simultaneously that he had a secret meeting with Bill Ackman in the Hamptons to convince Gen Z to support Israel, and then Israel killed him. So the argument right now on Israel is losing support at a tremendous rate among the young generation. Charlie Kirk is holding interventions. Like you saw the video where he sat down with these Gen Z guys, and he's like, don't be mad at Israel. And then Netanyahu was like, how can we get rid of this guy who's our greatest advocate for Gen Z? That makes no sense. What honestly makes more sense, we got one super chat. Let me see if I can find this one. Here we go. From Aramoff, he says, Turkey took out Charlie because he spoke against Islam. If we're talking, I don't think either of those are true, but I get the point being made. People are like, Israel killed their greatest advocate among Gen Z. Why would they do that?
Doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think that you put all this money into this man, you have an investment, and then you're like looking at the last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks of his life, and you're going, oh, if this man is turning, if he is going to stand up and speak out against what happened in Gaza. I mean, he was on the Patrick Bet-David show saying, like, listen, when I was in Israel and it took me 45 minutes to get into a chopper and fly across the country. So you mean to tell me that for 6 hours that Israel didn't respond to the attacks on October 7th? And he's going, how is that possible? He goes, it's not possible. I want to know, was there a stand down order? So he was really starting to dive in. The Epstein list, too. He's one of the biggest advocates for at least the entire Epstein list.
Why is Fuentes still alive?
Why is Fuentes still alive?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I don't know.
Because maybe Israel didn't kill Charlie
No, I'm just
Kirk.
kidding.
If the argument is that Israel's like, this prominent...
Because Nick Fuentes didn't have the youth at every single university. Charlie Kirk was their biggest ally, and he was literally the one person capable of turning. If he turned against Israel, the entire youth, the last 24% would pretty much evaporate overnight. So you have somebody in a position of power that was literally, I think, gearing up to be in the next presidential run. I think Charlie Kirk could have been the next president.
But look, even that's long term because young people historically don't vote. So even if they don't support Israel, right, you still got the majority of voters in the U.S. are going to be the boomers, people 55 and older. So it'll still take time. Yeah, it'll still take time for that voting bloc to actually have enough influence to change policy.
I think the people who are trying to justify Israel as the culprit are people who, I mean, look, Ian Carroll was like, I can't believe we figured out it was Israel right away. And it's like,
when did Ian say that?
I can believe that he figured
that
it out.
day. He said it's within 24 hours, everyone figured out who the likely suspect was. He said he was their greatest advocate and they killed him. And I'm just like, oh my God, bro.
I mean, I've seen Ian's breakdowns on it, and he's been very specific about just sticking with what we do know and what we don't know. I think Ian's done some of the best reporting on this, honestly.
I mean, if he says that he says that he figured it out, and his answer is it was Israel.
He wasn't being sarcastic. Like Ian's, I know him personally. He's very sarcastic.
Literally, the following morning, Ian Carroll said, yesterday was a turning point for Israel-U.S. relations. Less than 24 hours, and the internet already figured out who the most likely culprit was. He was their friend. He basically dedicated his life to them, and they murdered him in front of his family. Israel just shot themselves. I mean, 11.5 million views. This is Israel derangement syndrome. Tell me Israel's bad, I say fine. Call it a genocide, I say okay. I don't care about Israel. I don't want the U.S. involved in these foreign wars. But literally, before we know anything, you put out this tweet saying Israel did it. This is the problem I have with this stuff.
You knew that Ian was going to say Israel did it before anything else. Like, as soon as he got shot, if you said, what do you think Ian Carroll's going to say? I would have said, Ian Carroll's going to say Israel did it. Like, and then that's his brand.
Then you start getting all of this narrative stuff where it's like, did you know that Charlie Kirk was he was questioning Israel? I saw a video where Charlie asked Ben Shapiro about. Charlie says to Ben, "What would you say to someone who describes what's going on in Gaza as a genocide?" And then it slowly zooms in on Ben's face and doesn't edit, so Ben goes like, and it's like trying to imply that Charlie had turned on Israel, so they killed him. It is insane. Now, let me just start by saying, is it in the realm of possibility that Mossad was like, we got to take out Charlie Kirk? Well, it's of course, it's reality-based.
Well, he did say likely. You know,
but I mean, come on.
100%.
He then said, he said they murdered him in front of his family. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so I'm like, there's an infinite number of possible suspects and why, and who would be upset with Charlie Kirk. You can argue the Qataris did it. Charlie Kirk was the last bastion for defending Israel among the younger generation. So Qatar had it out for Israel, and then they took out Charlie, and that's why Israel bombed Qatar. I can connect the dots in a million and one ways. This doesn't serve our understanding of what happened to just jump beyond. Why was the gun there? Was it actually the gun that was used? What's with that weird photo? Why was the message looking all weird? All of those questions are legitimate. And we start from there and we move forward and try and figure out what's going on. The people that are coming out and screaming Israel are making it harder for us to actually break this down and figure out what really happened. This is what I can't stand about the hardcore conspiracy theory stuff. The feds historically would put out fake theories to distract people and throw them off the trail. A really great example, I think, is Pizzagate, where you get this email that says, I forgot, I'll paraphrase, but it was like, is it more fun, is it more fun playing dominoes on pizza or on pasta? And then for no reason, on 4chan, someone posted this thing claiming that it meant boys and girls. And I said, that's not correct. CP does mean child porn, but pizza and pasta, that connection doesn't exist anywhere. It was just made up at some point. I argued, guys, the feds are throwing you off the trail of what's actually going on with these emails that got leaked, which are likely indicative, in my opinion, of doing drugs at high-profile parties, playing dominoes on pizza and pasta. They're using code words for crack and meth or something like this. What happens? A guy shows up to a pizza place, shoots into the concrete floor, gets arrested, and they say you're all a bunch of crackpot weirdos for believing this, despite the fact we eventually learn the Epstein stuff is true. Their goal is to throw you off the trail with nonsense. What we want to do is we want to look at everything that's been laid out. I think you made a really great point, Ryan, about how the FBI never confirmed 30-6. And then we can question why it is we thought that. Then we can see the ATF report. Someone else pointed out in the chat that
it gives it a bit more credibility.
Someone pointed out, and this is important, someone pointed out in the chat that when that ATF document was leaked, the ballistics had not returned yet on whether or not it really was a 30-6 rifle. It was just the expert opinion of the ATF guys who saw it.
Didn't they release photos of the bullets, though?
No, I don't think so.
No?
That was the ICE attack.
Yeah, the ICE attack I know they did, but I thought they released photos of the actual describing of the bullets.
There's a lot we don't know. There's a lot we're speculating on, and there's a lot that I've probably gotten wrong already. But again, someone pointed out that ATF leak came out where they said they found a 30-6, but that was before the ballistics came back.
Yeah.
It's possible they were wrong about 30-6.
And when cases like this happen, right, because I've been at the scene of stuff like this where a case is, breaking, it's huge, it's hitting the news, new information's coming in, facts are changing constantly as you're doing interviews, you're collecting evidence, things change constantly. So yeah, it could have been like, hey, it looked like it was a Microsoft Teams chat or something like that, where they're just in a group chat answering questions, talking to each other, whatever. So, they say the fog of war. Well, the fog of investigation is very real too, and especially in the beginning.
Here's an interesting Patriot super chat. It's saying, I own a World War II Mauser 30-6. The rounds made for those rifles are loaded to lower pressure due to the weaker receiver material technology. This was something I was warned about because I bought an M1A, and I'm not a gun guy, so forgive me. But my understanding is that 308 is basically the same size but a higher pressure.
Yep.
And so they told me only use 7.62 in the M1A because the higher pressure could damage the gun or break it, because M1A is an older technology or something to that effect. So that seems reasonable as well. I'll just put it like this. We are not being told the truth is a fair assessment. I think
Agreed.
A reasonable assessment.
Agreed, yep.
But the government always lies, right? The question is...
Or they won't correct you when you make a mistake. That's also very important for people to understand. Like, again, me putting on my agent hat, if crazy things come out and I'm the case agent, I'm like, good. Let them think whatever they want.
Right.
I'm going to run my investigation. I have less hindrance. So they're also not going to correct things.
So let's advance a little bit, and then we can take a look at the subsequent terror attacks we've just seen. There was that attack on ICE where the guy had what does it look like? 7.62 in a stripper clip. Let me pull this one.
Yeah, we can pull up the picture. Yeah, that was nuts too, man.
But 7.62 is just the caliber.
I think
caliber of bullet.
Just to kind of wrap up the whole,
30 caliber,
Charlie thing, which rest in peace to Charlie.
Well, I don't want to stop talking about all that stuff. I just want to.
Before we switch, all I was going to say is, like, I think people need to keep an open mind, look at all the evidence, don't jump to conclusions, and just go off of what's provable.
I want to keep the conversation on Charlie,
sure.
But the bigger picture now moves into with this story. You see anti-ICE penned, inked onto these bullets. It looks like there may be potentially some writing right here that you can't see. I'm not sure, but they haven't released any of that, so I'm going to go. It looks like there might be writing here and here, maybe not. You just see the anti-ICE. This is a stripper clip. For those that don't know, it's a thin piece of metal you can slide the bullets into. The left's assessment on the Charlie Kirk assassination, anti-ICE, is that the feds are staging these things. What did Aaron Rupar say? 3 Reichstag fires in 3 weeks? What the accusation, the left can, so while the right is arguing palm guns, guy in the bushes, dude, trapdoor or whatever, Israel, I've heard some pretty wild conspiracy theories.
Who gave the trapdoor theory?
There's a picture of it.
Okay.
When they started repaving over the campus, when they started replacing everything up, there was all of a sudden people saw the trapdoor. But if you look at the photos of where Charlie was sitting, the trapdoor was like way off to the left. That theory didn't even make sense.
Does that come from news?
Right here, look.
Yeah, right there. Matt, who's the guy's name? Matt Baker shared this photo or this video up originally.
These are utility maintenance access doors commonly used in sidewalks and buildings to provide workers access to electrical and plumbing and infrastructure. They're not trap doors.
No, they're actually for the irrigation. It's actually common for the irrigation system is why that one was there, I believe.
And it was not even in the same spot where he was.
No, it's like, so Charlie was like way, way off to the right. It just didn't make sense that there would, I don't know. I went down there.
There was like 5 to 10 different theories.
I've tried my best to just disprove as many of these conspiracy theories as I could possibly disprove, and I've just been going through them all one by one.
Let's talk about the leftist conspiracy theories, because here's Aaron Rupar, a man so famous for his misinformation. His to Rupar means to pull things out of context, to trick people into believing the wrong thing. Now, I'm not kidding. Let me pull this up. Yep. Rupar, Urban Dictionary. And everybody always posts it at him. To lie with impunity. Here we go. To Rupar is to lie with impunity, a brazen statement with a focus on misleading, usually with the intention of a predetermined outcome. To purposely mislead, to intentionally and grossly mischaracterize a statement and or video. The left's conspiracy theory on this one is that Trump and the feds have been faking these. First of all, they think or they claim the assassination on Trump was staged.
Oh, you see the Matthew Crooks video that came out yesterday?
No, which one?
A video came out, or pictures of him dry firing a handgun.
Yeah.
So then you have Gavin Newsom mocking Trump's
and then
assassination.
Ryan Ruth got convicted as well.
You've got Gavin Newsom posting the photo of him laughing, holding up ketchup. Because have you not seen that one?
No.
Yep. Oh, man.
And another thing too, Ryan Ruth got convicted in his. He got found guilty in
he
a
didn't
trial.
really even defend himself.
Yeah, he represented himself. What a crazy bastard.
Candace got the leaked deleted social media of Crooks. That's how we got that. And she had the video of this kid.
Oh, Candace got that? I
Yeah, I
thought it was
believe
in
so.
your post.
Here you
it
go.
might have been. Maybe I thought it was Candace, but I could be wrong.
It's low res. But Gavin Newsom, I believe, posted this Midas touch saying, "Okay, the internet is insane," and it's the Secret Service laughing while Gavin holds up a bottle of ketchup, because
Gavin posted that?
I'm pretty sure that was posted by his press news office.
Oh yeah, they do troll. Yeah.
Let me see if I can find the official source. Liberals think Trump faked the assassination attempt, and that the feds, I guess, intentionally killed Corey Comparator. They have argued that there are a couple different theories on the Trump assassination. They say that when he fell down, he smacked a blood pack in his hat so he could stand up and have the blood coming down, despite the fact in the photos when Trump, in the photos from New York Times,
Blood's on his hand.
You can see the blood on his hand. They argue that he had a hidden razor blade in his hat. When he fell down, he slashed himself. They first, in the mainstream media, argued that it wasn't a bullet, the teleprompter shattered, and the glass struck his head. Mm-hmm. They tried every possible thing they could to claim this was not an assassination. And then look at the Charlie Kirk assassination. They first gloated and laughed and celebrated. There was one viral video where a woman said, "Charlie's not famous enough to be a martyr." They were wrong. Yeah. All of a sudden, we saw these memorials happening. So what did they do? They pivoted and said, the shooter was a groyper inspired by Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
Yup.
That was ridiculous.
And then you got Politics Girl, who I believe is a Midas Touch podcast, I could be wrong, saying that he came from a conservative background and the engravings on the bullets were just manufacturer markings. Then you get Jimmy Kimmel coming out. They are trying to do everything they can to cover it up. The left is now arguing that Charlie Kirk was killed by Trump. Not even, I kid you not. There is someone that I will leave unnamed who was prominent in Hollywood who posted a video to their Instagram of a woman saying, in 1934, blah, 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 Reichstag fire, Hitler did this so that he could gain power. And you know why they're posting that. The implication being that Trump had Charlie Kirk killed. They posted a meme. The left has been sharing a meme where it's a guy crying and pointing a gun at the camera, and it's titled, "Donald Trump shooting Charlie Kirk when he realizes he needs to cover up Epstein." This is what the liberals are saying. So on the right, the conspiracy theories we have are Charlie was killed by some shady behind-the-scenes group. Who actually did it? What are they covering up? Was it Israel? On the left, they're saying Trump killed Charlie Kirk so that he could. There's a comic. Let me show you.
Looney land over there, huh?
First, I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to see if I can find the photo posted by Gavin Newsom himself of this ketchup thing, because I don't want to claim he did if he didn't. But this is being shared. Midas Touch. This is what you find when you search for it. Maybe it's not on his account. I don't know. Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, they're not letting go of the Epstein thing either.
Right.
They're loving it. Like they're still going.
They just put a statue of Trump at the Washington Monument of Trump and Epstein holding hands and like frolicking. It's a giant 12-foot statue.
Yeah.
It's already gone.
Oh, they took it down? Okay, I thought they were going to leave it up for 2 weeks, they said. They must have already taken it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind. I think this is at Politics made that image, but so I don't want to falsely accuse the governor of posting that himself. My point is just that liberals are sharing this because in their minds he faked the whole thing. But there is another image that I want to share with you about the left conspiracy over the killing of Charlie Kirk. I posted this because it was on the front page of Reddit, and here you go. This is what is on the front page of Reddit. Actually, let me open this and make it bigger. It says Horst Wessel, and this was viral. I think I included 32,000 upvotes, 6 diamonds, 7,529 comments. And it says, Nazi SA officer Horst Wessel was shot in his Berlin apartment by a local communist. He would die of sepsis on February 23rd. The incident would have been just another example of sectarian violence in Weimar Germany had it not been for the intervention of Nazi propagandist Joseph Goebbels. Goebbels, is that how you pronounce it? Used his media connections and know-how to turn the man into a martyr for the Nazi party. He extolled Wessel in Nazi newspapers and even gave a eulogy at his funeral. They posted this because they are now this is where they're advancing their argument that Charlie Kirk was a Nazi, murdered, and Trump is now holding Nazi rallies. They claimed the memorial for him was a Nazi rally. And what they are trying to tell liberals now is that everything Trump does, no matter what it is in support of the Nazi, of expansion of Nazism, to the point where Rupar called it a Reichstag fire, but one of them every week.
Craziness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess I'll put it this way.
They just label you a fascist or a Nazi, never attack your ideas.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's just what they do.
So here we go into the bigger picture of the conspiracies, what's happening to this country. Yahoo News, this is this morning.
I saw this, yep.
275 plainclothes agents in January 6 crowds from a congressional source said the FBI told them this. And I think we're only now getting these details because, well, the Republicans have won and you've got Kash Patel in the FBI. And now he's digging through this, putting it out there.
So does this mean the stories about the buses filled with agents? Because that's what, 6, 8, maybe even 10 bus loads of people, 275 agents?
How else do you get them there?
That's what I'm wondering. So that must have fact out. That was, what congressman was that saying that they had video evidence of the buses? It was, he's a guy from Tennessee down south somewhere. Not Chip Roy, the other one, I forget.
Congress?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He used to be a sheriff. And he was,
Arpaio?
No.
No, that guy, was he?
He's been one of the most active people about calling out Chris Wray in the hearings about we're going to get to the bottom of this. We know what you did.
Someone's going to probably put in chat.
I have a conspiracy theory. I made a video about it. I think it's probably up now, because we do this live at noon, but I also put up segments. How did AOC know the riot was going to happen?
What was that you said?
How did AOC know that the riot was going to happen?
On January 6th?
Yeah, how'd she know?
Why are you implying that
Because
she
she
knew?
made a video where she said she heard banging on her or she hid in the bathroom because she thought the rioters were there. How did she know the rioters were going to be in the building?
And it wasn't that not even
It was
her
an
office?
hour. She was in her office. She said in her story, an hour before.
Well, her office is in the Capitol, right?
Okay. She's in the Cannon building.
Okay.
So the initial reporting was she did a live stream. She said, I hear banging on my door. I hide in the bathroom. I hear someone say, where is she? And she thought she was going to die. Turns out it was a Capitol police officer evacuating the building.
Okay.
But she thought it was the rioters come to kill her. At first, the conservatives all came out and said that, but she's not in the Capitol building. How would they have even got to her? Every single mainstream media outlet, I'm being hyperbolic here, but most of them come out and say, fact check, false. AOC did tell the truth because tunnels connect the Capitol to the Hart building, to the Cannon building. And all the conservatives were like, yeah, but, the button actually doesn't work.
Oh.
Yeah. So I then listened to her story, checked the timeline, and this is February 5th or 6th of 2021. And I said, AOC made the story up. The time in which she detailed she ordered lunch, there was banging on her door, she hid in the bathroom. That's not possible because the breach of the Capitol didn't happen for another hour. At the time she's describing where the cops came and banged on her door was the exact moment the outer perimeter fence got knocked over, meaning the first point at which a Trump supporter actually stepped on the grass, which is, if you know, the Capitol complex is very, very large. They were very far away from the building. This means that while AOC was in her office, the rioters had not actually even touched the grass of the Capitol complex. Around the time they discovered the bomb at the RNC and the DNC is around the same time they knocked the fencing down. The famous video where you see, Ray Epps whisper to the guy, and then they push the barricades down and start walking up the concrete towards the building.
You have that clip by chance, or
the Ray Epps?
Yeah,
that was with his nephew too, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know if I can pull this one up very, very quickly, but yeah, to find that.
They nuked it off the internet?
No, it's not. I just have to go on X and try and find it.
Okay.
And that'll probably take a couple of minutes, but let me finish this point so you can find it.
Ahead.
AOC claimed that when she heard the bang on her door, she thought the rioters made it there and she went in the bathroom. So I have some questions. Did she make the whole story up? She never actually hid in the bathroom. Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, she couldn't have known that there was any real threat. Why would she be scared at all of literally anything? She didn't know the bombs were planted. She didn't know the cops were coming to evacuate her, and she didn't know there was going to be a riot at the Capitol that would have stormed in and broken anything. That didn't happen until an hour later. So why would she go and hide in her bathroom? Honest question. Unless she had foreknowledge that there was going to be a storming of the Capitol, so when she heard the bang on her door, she went, oh shit, it's happening, and went and hid in her bathroom. Now, she could have fabricated the whole thing and never actually hid in her bathroom.
Do you want to know what time that was, roughly, when she hid in the bathroom?
It was around like 12:50 to 1 o'clock.
When did Trump say we're going to peacefully protest?
1:50, or no. It was sometime, I think around 1, I could be wrong, 1:03 maybe?
1:03, and then you said when she went in, what time? The bathroom?
So we don't have the exact times.
Okay.
The timestamps that we have are when the fences were torn down.
Yeah.
According to her story, the evacuations based on the pipe bomb is the story she told.
Okay.
The bang on her door was the Capitol police officer evacuating because at 12:47, I believe, they found a pipe bomb at the RNC, and shortly after, they found a pipe bomb at the DNC. The Capitol police then went to evacuate members of Congress. This is an hour or so before they breached the Capitol building. So why, when the cop is banging on her door, did she say, the rioters are here to kill me, and go and hide in her bathroom?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well,
So real quick, perhaps she never hid in her bathroom, and her staffers are just maintaining that lie that she did.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's a fair point. She was chilling in her office, laughing her ass off. The cop knocked on her door. She said, "Who is it?" And he says, "Capitol Police were evacuating." She went, "Okay," and she walked out peacefully. And then a few weeks.
You said she was live streaming at this time?
No, a month later.
Okay.
She comes out with a video saying, "I hid in the bathroom," and he goes, "Where is she? Where is she?" Yeah. And I'm like, okay, maybe she made that whole story up. That's possible.
Well, with all this new evidence, how are people like, isn't it Joe Biggs of the Proud Boys? Didn't he not get a pardon? With all this evidence, shouldn't we be blanket pardoning people?
No, Biggs got pardoned.
I thought he did not. Wasn't he? I thought his life has been destroyed. Something is.
Well, yeah, it is, but I'm pretty sure Biggs got pardoned.
Free now.
Yeah.
I thought he didn't get a full pardon.
No, there's another guy.
Who is that guy then? Somebody didn't get a full
because he got raided over J6, but they found a grenade, or they claimed to have found a grenade. So his prosecution stems from the J6 investigation, but because his charge was unrelated to J6, he never got a pardon.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just wrap up that thought real quick.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
AOC is either completely fabricated the story, or she had foreknowledge of the riots at the Capitol. Considering now we're learning that there are 275 plainclothes, plus I believe another couple dozen undercover outright and informants, I'm done playing games with these people. They are right now. Aaron Rupar is not a far leftist. He is a mainstream liberal Democrat media personality. Calling Charlie Kirk's assassination, the attack on ABC, and the ICE attack Reichstag fires, saying Trump is doing these attacks. I'm done giving them the benefit of the doubt. If AOC wants to publicly assert she hid in her bathroom from rioters, but it was an hour before the riot happened, then I'm going to go and say AOC was informed beforehand J6 was going to happen.
Yeah, and I'll take a step further. I agree with what Nick Fuentes said when he talked about there was a black gentleman after Charlie Kirk assassinated, went to that university and was like mocking them, and he was live streaming it. And Nick made a very good point. He's like, these people don't believe in anything that we believe in. They don't believe in our rule of law. They don't believe in our policy. You can't debate. You can't argue with these people. These people need to be completely removed from our society. And I go, I think you're right. At this point, like, you can't tolerate the left. They're not trying to have an open debate, have open, if they disagree with you, they want to kill you. Yep. And that is not how our country was built.
So I can only hope, as I made this point, there are on the right, everybody saying we have to do everything legally. We have an election. We have Trump. We have law enforcement. Law enforcement needs to take care of this. The left is saying the opposite. The left is saying you're next. Keith Olbermann said, "Your next mother effer" to Scott Jennings. Quickly panicked, took it down. The issue that we have, someone made the super chat. Actually, I want to read the super chat. Let's see. I think actually it may have been nuked. Yeah, YouTube nuked it. Okay, so I'm sorry, I can't shout you out, but they said it doesn't matter. Actually, was that right there? No, someone said the theories don't matter. The left took credit for it right after it happened. And I think the point that I've made with all of these stories is that I say the truth doesn't matter. And I give the left the opportunity to clip that out of context. They always do, because you can't debate them. The point I'm making is, if you go to a liberal and tell them this guy who shot Charlie Kirk, the evidence points to a liberal individual, they're going to say, nope, he was right wing. The YouGov data shows us that 2-1 liberals believe that the Charlie Kirk assassin was a Trump supporter. Jimmy Kimmel put that on his show. They won't believe you. They don't believe what you believe. They live in a completely different a world of facts. So it doesn't matter when we're dealing with this escalation of violence in this conflict that's happening in this country. It doesn't matter even if you can prove it's true, because they're not listening.
I mean, I've been saying for 5 years that Antifa and BLM need to be terrorist organizations.
Yes.
Obviously it took the tragic death of Charlie for them to finally say, oh, maybe we need to reel in this, leftist, violence. Because here's the thing. If you're a right-wing advocacy group of some kind, if you gather or you have an organization, you could be rest assured there's going to be an open federal investigation on you. They're going to try to get informants in there, undercovers, etc. These leftist organizations don't deal with the same scrutiny from law enforcement at all. That's why they can burn down, Minneapolis with almost no consequence. Meanwhile, everyone at J6 gets arrested, regardless of where they were.
Well, why aren't
we
we following the money to these NGOs that are funding these organizations?
Well, Trump is.
Finally.
I hope so.
Right.
We were supposed to go after USAID NGOs, and none of them have been arrested.
They've been able to gather and operate for years, right? And I've been saying it forever that Antifa is a terrorist organization. I'm glad he finally designated them as this, but it's like, dude, it's getting crazy. I truly do believe the left is way more violent than we are. Way more.
Is it possible that the true force behind the Kirk assassination is some kind of vestige of the USAID NGO infrastructure of domestic terror?
I won't rule it out. I honestly won't rule it out, because these people are like, the thing also, like, and I noticed this too. You're a fascist, you're a Nazi, you're a bigot, blah, blah, blah. It's like they dehumanize you, right? So that they can go ahead and like justify their violence against you. Like that's right. What they do. I can't, like, the amount of people I saw celebrating after he got killed, like I was like, what is going on here? Dude. Like, dude, if something happened to a prominent left-wing podcaster, I would be like, we need to find the people involved in this. Like, I'm not going to celebrate someone's death, but very few people on the left showed compassion. And then people said, oh, well, all the politicians came out and said that political violence is unacceptable. Who cares about them? They're trying to win office. What about the big influencers? What about the people that have platforms? A lot of them are celebrating. Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, AOC went to the House floor to smear and denounce Charlie, not even 2 weeks after he was dead, espousing the exact
same. You don't want to take a moment of silence? Like...
Right.
Yeah.
And so
nuts, dude.
When I look at all the conspiracy theories around the Charlie Kirk stuff, let me ask you guys this. There was an infrastructure in place that Trump has dismantled through USAID. I'm not saying literally everything USAID did was bad, but it did send money to various NGOs, which then cycle that money to various groups, and it's
back into politicians as well.
Oh yeah. Right, but and that's a key point, which is important. But I think a lot of this NGO money that also Lee Zeldin found through these environmental groups finds its way to direct action nonprofits that engage in violence.
Absolutely.
Someone is at these they call them direct action meetings. There are leaders. They say Antifa's leaderless. That is a lie. They just don't know the name, and this is intentional because the activists will say at these meetings, and I've been to them, I've seen them say it. If the government finds out who's organizing and in charge, they will character assassinate or imprison you. So they intentionally try to hide who's actually running the show. But how do people know where to stand? Who makes the flyers? Who has the path for what the protest is going to look like? Someone is organizing this. I think through USAID, through these environmental NGOs, money circulates to these groups. There's also the question of George Soros. Trump has now ordered these things to be dismantled. The conspiracy theory that I think, the question I have for you guys is, this apparatus which is being destroyed, could it be possible that the actual nefarious group behind it is this left-aligned group, and the reason why we're having trouble breaking down exactly what happened and we're getting conflicting information is not that Kash is doing anything wrong. He's genuinely trying to figure this out. But it was a premeditated move by a highly organized, well-funded group that is the remnants of what was being dismantled by Trump's actions. And that is the actual player here who killed Charlie Kirk.
Well, have we seen any single person arrested for any of these NGOs, any of this money laundering, anything that Doge has found? Have we seen a single person arrested? And has anybody actually gone through and back? Because I've been down to Mexico. I've got smuggled across the Guatemalan border into Guatemala by the cartels on water rafts to specifically go document OMI, one of the main NGOs who was playing a major role in smuggling all of the women and children out of Guatemala into Mexico. Went down there. These organizations are still operating. They're still running with full staff, and they're still operating at full send. So none of them that I've seen have been defunded. So if the money's not coming from USAID anymore, what we're being told is that it's actually coming from other government organizations.
The flow doesn't stop immediately. You dam a river, the river doesn't just instantly evaporate. Downstream, the water is still flowing until it slowly starts receding and going down. So they've cut the money off only a few months ago. But some of these groups, Lee Zeldin found billions of dollars being funneled through environmental causes. Look, if there's an NGO, I think one of them received like $7 billion. No, what was the number? Somewhat like seven.
Jewish Family Services getting $600 million no-bid contracts roughly every 30 to 90 days.
Right. So how long can you operate on $30 million?
Oh my gosh, those operations were done for a long time. If you cut off the funding, there would still technically be a lot of money left over. They have assets, they have funding, they have stocks.
Exactly. And they can liquidate to maintain operations. And so with Trump cutting off a lot of the funding to these various NGOs, it's not going to stop. Like there's a couple of years of operation left, and these groups may try and find outside funding through other means to maintain operations. When I was at Occupy Wall Street, Fox News was claiming the protesters were paid to be there by George Soros. And that is one of the stupidest ways to describe it and made it so easy to ignore. On the ground at Occupy, the joke among the activists was, where's my Soros check? The one thing that no one really understood what was really happening is that there were NGOs that operated out of New York that had received funding from Open Society Foundation and other groups. Employees on salary for those nonprofits were given the green light by their bosses to go and help Occupy organize.
And you were on the ground at Occupy,
yes.
Right? Okay.
So here's what happens. There was a guy. There were a handful of people that I had met. And I asked, and we're talking. And the guy says, "Oh, I work for a nonprofit." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I used to do nonprofit work actually only a couple of years before. Like, who are you working for?" He's like, "Oh, this group." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Do you just come down here in your off time?" And he's like, "No, I'm working for him now." And I'm like, "So you're getting paid to be here?" He's like, "Well, I'm not paid to be here, but they pay my salary and they let me come." So these nonprofits give a salary to a guy, $50,000 a year. And then when he goes, "Hey, instead of working, how about I just go organize Occupy Wall Street?" They go, "You got it." And so it's not that there was a directive from George Soros or any of these foundations to pay someone to protest. It was that these people don't have to worry about being homeless. The companies, because they're nonprofits and their money comes from donations, they don't have a product to sell. They don't have to worry for this salaried employee to every day you got to lube the engine, otherwise it shuts down. Nope. Go and protest, organize Occupy, and your paycheck is safe. That's how they do it.
Well, I'll say this. I'm happy that he designated Antifa as a terrorist organization, because what's going to happen now is whenever you put the T word into an investigation, you get an enormous amount of funding. Now, Joint Terrorism Task Force offices all across the country can target these guys. They can really start to look at the money. They can start going through FinCEN. They can look at SARS, and they can really attack it from the financial angle. And the reason why this is good is because these JTTFs have an FBI guy, they have an HSI guy, they have an IRS guy, they got DEA guys, ATF guys, and they can now actually target these organizations appropriately and go after the money since it's under a terrorism initiative. And this is what I've been saying for a very long time, and that's why they've been able to kind of evade law enforcement and do all this BS for a while, because they weren't properly targeted. This is exactly why he made Tren de Araguas or whatever a terrorist organization, because when you make them a terrorist organization, now you can utilize all types of different resources to include intelligence services, that collect information, maybe not in a legal way or whatever, but now you can use all these resources to go after them.
Well, so domestic terrorist is not a legal distinction. And I think the reason, Stephen Miller knows this, and I think the reason they haven't labeled Antifa a foreign terrorist organization, which grants them all of those powers you described, is take a look at the indictment of Comey. Just happened the other day.
But there's special funding allotted via terrorism. You know what I mean? Whether it's domestic or
so here's
federal,
the point.
International.
Trump had an attorney who wouldn't prosecute Comey. If Trump got in and on day one said, I want you to go and bring a case against all of these people, the agents and the attorneys would be like, I'm not doing it. This is crazy. They're going to be like, the emperor has no clothes. I mean, if we do this, if you arrest Comey, I mean, this is going to be nuts. Trump waits a little while. You build up the culture. Trump puts out a post saying, Pam, go arrest these people. People begin to expect it.
Was that a leaked text message or a tweet?
No,
I got confused.
that was an intentional post on Truth.
Okay.
Or I mean, we don't know.
Some people said it was a text because he deleted right after.
Posting on Truth, a DM or anything like that. I mean, but maybe, who knows? So here's the point. I think the reason Trump said Antifa are domestic terrorists is so that we are not going to see spying and mass surveillance or anything like this. However, the debate happens in the media. The right and the left are going to debate the merits of Antifa being terrorists, and you're going to create a 50-50 issue where the liberals say no and the right says yes. Then, once this is normalized in the culture, Trump says FTO designation. Why? Netherlands is proposing it. Poland is proposing it. We just saw Antifa in France and Italy, and he's going to say, we have evidence of financial ties between these groups. This is a foreign international, this is an terrorist organization.
Rubio stamps it.
Then Trump gets the full marks. By then, when the liberals come out and say, he's calling them terrorists, everyone in the country, the normies, are going to go, he did that 6 months ago. What are you talking about? This is not new information. Trump then opens the door. We start seeing the surveillance of these far-left terror cells and organizations. We start getting arrests. And to the run-of-the-mill normie who's only watching football, not paying attention, this is old news.
And also Democrats are forced to defend a terrorist organization.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's a good step in the right direction. I've been screaming this for 5 years that Antifa needs to be a terrorist. I think BLM needs to be a terrorist organization too.
But I do think BLM is like defunct. Like the BLM founders are charged with fraud, right?
Dude, there's still a lot of them, man. And they did arrest some of them, but there's still a lot of them. It's like another one pops up.
Phil just posted this. This is breaking like right now, huh?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Howard Rubin, an ex-New York financier with ties to Soros, was arrested for sex trafficking women to a sex dungeon penthouse, according to the feds. So I think people need to understand.
We look at the who arrested him. Is this Fed or state?
It's got to be Fed, right?
Well, there are state statutes too. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Federal
prosecutors.
Yeah. So
I'm like, bro, you think state in New York are going to arrest this guy? Right.
They did it for Trump.
Who was it?
Yeah, but Trump. But again,
if the case is big enough, they're going to do it.
No. George Soros-tied guy is not getting arrested in New York.
Who was he?
Let me see here.
He was a New York financier.
Yeah. Okay.
He's
so
once had ties to George Soros.
Okay. Eastern District of New York. Okay. Brooklyn. That's where they run out of. Okay. Who ran the case? FBI or agent?
One of his bedrooms was soundproofed and painted red, and had a device that was used to shock or electrocute women.
I want to know
what.
I want to know what. Can we pull up the indictment?
It's just.
I don't know how to find that. I mean, do you want to find it?
Yeah, I'll go. I'll look on Pacer.
So
I'll get it.
Yeah. So here's my point. The arrests are going to come from the bottom up. I'm pretty sure the Trump admin said this. They're building cases against lower level people so they can knock out key infrastructure among the deep state and then go for the higher profile
I got
targets.
it. Type in his name and then type in DOJ. There's a press release.
And then we also have Alex Jones, which says that they have actually indictments going on right now.
Yep.
There's like
FBI,
5 different that we're going to see arrests in 5 days.
FBI and IRS. Scroll all the way to the bottom. Indictments down there. This is FBI and IRS.
That's right here?
Yep, that's it. Okay, let's see here. All right, Eastern District, bam, Brooklyn.
Howard Rubin, known as Howie, is a retired New York-based financier from at least 2009 to 2019. He recruited dozens of women to engage in commercial sex acts with them involving bondage, discipline, dominant submission, and sadomasochism. He engaged in
the top real quick so we see the charges. Okay, 18 USC. Okay.
Oh, all these.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah, Title 18 is criminal, and then the 982 I got to look those up with all the subsections. 1591, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that's sex trafficking.
that's the headline one.
Title 20. Oh, they hit him with drugs too.
Oh, and Jennifer Powers.
Yeah, 21 USC 853. That's a drug charge. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so let me scroll down and like it'll break all that down, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why I hate indictments, because indictments don't go into detail like the same level as a criminal complaint does. But they're going to talk about some of the stuff here.
Wow, this is wild.
Yeah.
They had the women sign NDAs.
I mean, look,
it's like, do not reveal the crime being committed. I'll sue you.
Well, a lot of times that stuff happens because of the age of the victims often.
But what I'm saying is it is incredibly silly to be committing a serious felony federal crime and then ask them to sign an NDA that they won't reveal the crime being committed. Like,
And a lot of people probably aren't
you won't go to the cops.
And a lot of the women probably aren't educated enough to know. They probably think they signed some type of NDA that's ironclad, and if they speak out or say anything, that they're going to get cooked.
Real quick for me, Tim.
Which one? The first paragraph on the first page?
Yeah, one. Yeah, I'm going to try to. Okay, sex trafficking. Okay, bam. Okay, defendants. Okay, so from at least 2011.
Discipline. During such encounters, Rubin engaged in conduct beyond the scope of the women's consent. So he they're arguing this dude tricked women into coming in, and then
so this is very similar to Diddy.
Well, he said commercial. Yeah, he said that says commercial sex acts. That means he was hiring prostitutes, right?
And then doing things to them that they did not want to have happen.
Yeah,
that's like a horror movie.
This literally is like almost identical to the Diddy case.
Wow.
Because that's what they got Diddy for. Because it's going to sound funny. Because I actually watched a few days of the trial. Really, what they're banging, he's getting in trouble for is flying in these male prostitutes to have sex with Cassie. That's what jammed them up, because they affected interstate commerce because they were traveling interstate to engage in a sex act and they were getting paid.
They write that.
So this looks very similar to the Diddy case here.
Howard would injure them. At times, assuaged women, for example, telling them to ice their injuries and apply bruise cream.
It's like a freak off. Really? Yeah.
On various occasions, victims notified Rubin and Powers that Rubin had caused lasting pain and physical injuries, including, for example, a woman's breast implant had flipped upside down and required surgery to fix.
Dear Lord.
Eat the ass out of them. That's how.
Jeez.
These people are so sick, man.
So we were talking yesterday, and we had Joseph Moulton on, and he said he doesn't think Trump is going to actually go after Soros and do this. He's like, we've seen too much. And I'm like, Trump is doing it. I mean, like, not Trump personally. Trump is personally doing what he can. He signed the executive order saying Antifa's terrorists. He then signed an order saying all government go after these far left terror cells. We're seeing indictments, but it's coming from the ground up. Comey just got indicted. I think. Let me put it this way. We talked about it last night.
So they picked him up this morning in Fairfield, Connecticut.
This guy.
Yeah, they picked him up this morning.
I put out a poll just now, and let me see if I have it here. I said, do you think we are in a civil war, civil strife, or neither? 27.9 said civil war, 60 said civil strife, and 11.8 said neither. It's normal.
FBI's lead agency, IRS Criminal Investigation Division, is the co-case, but it's an FBI-led case.
So let me ask you guys, with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, a week later, a liberal shot up an ABC station because of Charlie Kirk's suspension. Several terroristic threats were sent to several more ABC stations. Just this week, an ICE facility was targeted for the third time in 3 months.
He killed the alien, too. He didn't even get the ICE official.
He's just shooting at the vehicle.
Yeah.
What do you guys think happens next?
I think we have a major false flag coming from.
I agree.
Something so massive that I think it either takes down the internet or because they have to do something where they take out the internet because we are breaking these things down so fast. So whatever they do has to create so much chaos and so much damage that it really brings us to our knees as a country.
Remember, we were warned about the cyber 9/11 that this cyber attack would hit, and many people may not know this, but there was something that happened in like the early 2010s, I think it was called DNS cache poisoning. It was such a very serious flaw in DNS, I think it's domain name services, that it would have destroyed the entirety of the internet. And there was this dude. It's been a while. Dan Kaminsky. He was a friend, but it's just been so long. Not like a good friend of mine or anything. Dan Kaminsky, he died. He convened the great powers of the internet in secret, revealing this exploit that was called DNS cache poisoning. And he said, if this exploit gets out, the entirety of the internet can be shut down. And so all of these companies worked in secret to plug the gap and deal with the exploit. After it was fixed, they announced that this thing had happened. And it was like, this was an apocalyptic level. So much of our economy is based on the internet. I agree with you that, and I can tell you that I will put it like this. I have sources that have warned me of a potential for a very serious incident. I have explained last night.
Did it have to do with trauma centers?
No.
States that had single unit trauma centers?
No.
Okay, I heard another one.
So I'll put it like this. I did not go to Charlie Kirk's memorial because we had a security team assessment, and the threats that I've been receiving are credible. And the basic plan that was laid out as to how my wife and I would be able to go was nuts. And I described it as basically like 2 agents on the plane, 2 security guards on the plane sitting next to us, met by 2 more once the plane, so we have 4 people drive us to the airport to accompany us onto the plane.
Have you seen a spike in death threats since that happened to Charlie? Same here, bro.
Indescribable.
Dude,
and all I got to do is tell people, go on Blue Sky. I was talking to Benny Johnson about it, and I was like, what have you seen? He's like, go on Blue Sky.
Dude,
read them.
On TikTok, because I do the college debate stuff too. I was literally supposed to go to North Carolina the next day and do a debate on 9/11. And I obviously had to cancel. And a lot of the TikToks where I'm there, they're like, oh, we need to take this guy out next.
It's the same thing.
Absolutely
That's why
nuts.
when Keith Olbermann said, "You're next, mother effer" to Jennings, we know he was threatening death. And he immediately took it down and said, no, I meant career. BS. So the security assessment that we received, it was like 24/7 lockdown in the hotel with guards outside the front. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. We immediately following the assassination of Kirk, the general assessment was we need to wait to see where we end up in the next week or two so we can better assess the threat level. And right now, it could not be higher. It is maxed out. Law enforcement sources that we have are warning of a major incident they fear is likely.
And
This is internal security assessment for me and my team. And I can't go into great, I'm not going to go beyond that, but I'm just going to say this. The reason why I don't like to say this stuff is because people always say, Tim, you're black-pilled, you're pessimist, you're fanning the flames, it's rage bait. But in the context of this conversation, let me just say it. You don't even need me to tell you this. You don't even need Ryan's sources or the rumors he's hearing. Take a look at how the left celebrated the assassination of Kirk, a terror attack a week later, a terror attack a week later. Our security assessment
Don't forget the Tesla bombings.
And that
in the beginning of the year on Elon destroyed the stock.
26 last night on IRL, 26 off the top of my head, we compiled a list of all the terror attacks that we've seen throughout this year, and they're escalating. And so,
did you count the T shootings?
We're
on YouTube, so the T shootings, like the
trans shooters.
Yeah. You counted those too?
Yeah. The right.
Like on a Catholic school, like
right. It's crazy. Children.
Yeah.
Law enforcement source warns they fear a major attack is almost guaranteed. I got to be careful to say this stuff. I am not. There's a reason why this is not being put out in news stories, because private behind the scenes, when they say like, hey, look, we genuinely believe the likelihood of this is one. It will happen. And we don't know where or how, and we're trying to stop this. The reason I'm told people believe this is, one, Charlie Kirk was just killed. Immediately following this, death threats rang out. The fear is that it is not a stopping point. It is a green light. And we saw this with another terror attack at ABC, more threats sent at ABC.
more school shootings.
A school shooting the same day as Charlie Kirk, and then the attack on ICE. The general assessment, and I got to be honest, I don't even know if this is like a real, like we looked at the intel kind of stuff. I feel like any person reading the internet is going to be like, oh crap, this is getting crazy.
These two stories got buried with the Charlie Kirk assassination. I know there was something going on in Annapolis at the Naval Academy, if I'm not mistaken, and then a Colorado shooter.
Someone made threats online, and they thought the person was on the grounds. It resulted in an accidental shooting. There were bomb threats at various universities. Guys, what I said weeks
Do we know
ago,
the political affiliation of the shooter there, or the person that made the
there was no shooter. It was a guard who shot somebody on accident.
Okay, accident discharge. The
person
what
who
about
made the
the Colorado
threat
shooter, the high school shooter? Because there was a school shooting in Colorado.
I think he was far right.
He was far right.
Far right? Yeah, but what is the problem is, what does right describe? Like, if a Trump supporter on a MAGA hat and did this, that's what I want. If some fringe sovereign citizen guy with a weird ideology no one understands, right is a meaningless distinction. We've talked about it quite a bit in terms of what civil war looks like, and everybody lives in these movies. They live in movies where they're like, nobody could have made that shot. That was a professional shot. And it's like, please go to a range right now. The general assessment for rifle training is 1 to 2 hours of training to learn how to make a shot at 150 yards. Yeah. It's like, so, and people go.
And the kid knew his way around firearms, right? So,
he grew up hunting.
Yeah,
and so everybody expects things to look like a movie. The exit wound would have been so massive. But then I read one report where it was like a combat, ballistics guy who pulled a bunch of actual peer-reviewed journals breaking down injuries and how these things happen. Anyway, what you will see, the first thing I'll say is I asked Eric Prince on this show, do you think, based on all of your experience in foreign countries and with the people you've worked with, we are headed towards something like these collapse of these nations or civil war, whatever you want to call it? And he said, the one thing I'll say is it's overnight. One day, everything seems normal, and then you wake up and the water's off and there's no internet anymore. That's what he said, no internet. And so the way I described it, based on what I've experienced, and I've not been in war zones, but I've been in conflict, crisis, revolution, civil war, is everything outside of the conflict zones feels normal. And so the story I give is when I was in Egypt during the Second Revolution, there's a guy at a McDonald's 3 blocks away from Tahrir Square.
Arab Spring, like 2010-ish?
Yeah. So this is 2013, the Second Revolution in Egypt. I was there.
Okay.
And there's thousands of people in Tahrir, APCs and Blackhawks coming in. They announce they're going to be, the bridges were being shut down. We decided to get out before it got too late. People were watching soccer matches at McDonald's eating cheeseburgers. We went to Heliopolis and kids were playing with race cars. I went to the fast food restaurant, got kebab. The world goes on. But what did it look like in that mall? While I was ordering kebab on a stick, it was lamb and it was delicious. The TVs are talking about the collapse of their government, the conflicts, the mass protest occupation by the Muslim Brotherhood in Nasser City. And then when we left and the government collapsed, the military went and started just shooting the Muslim Brotherhood, killing them and wiping them out.
That's an ally. We give them a lot of money.
Sure do.
A lot of money.
What we are seeing now in this country, which is terrifying me, is what you would expect to see as you enter a civil war period is you turn the news on, and this is how I described it months ago, and you're watching Brett Baer, and he goes, a bomb, IED, was detonated on U.S. Route 95 on State Road 95 in Texas, shutting down trade and transport from the eastern regions to the west. So, well, maybe not Brett Baer because he's not got someone, but the newscaster says, I guess, Mary, people aren't going to have that strawberry shortcake for this Christmas, so plan accordingly. In other news, a dog won a ribbon at a grooming contest. I wake up and I hear about the ICE shooting, and we don't have any details and we don't know. You wake up and you find out that the FBI had 275 plainclothes agents. You wake up and you find out that James Comey is being indicted. These things are happening with increasing, they're exponentially, it's accelerating rapidly, gradually, and then suddenly. And so I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to say we are at civil war. People are saying it's a civil strife period. I think that is fair to say this is bleeding Kansas.
I agree. And I think that, if you're a foreign government and you're somebody who despises the United States, you really don't need to attack us. You can just stand by. I mean, our country's falling apart right now. That's why I'm saying it's going to be some type of false flag. And the intel that we were getting was from a Border Patrol agent who spent 24 years in the agency, and he's got guys on the ground still. And he's saying that they're warning of some type of false flag attack where they're going to attack cities, specifically 5 or more at the same time, that specifically only have one trauma center in that major city. And then they're going to be actually already have undercover operatives at that trauma center. So when everybody basically transcends on to take their people there, they're going to be carrying out another attack, and then that attack's going to be used to drive us into a war or martial law or whatever the case may be.
I want you guys to take a look at this. This is from France 24, and it's just the first one I pulled up. Never mind the war, Syrian regime courts holidaymakers in public relations push. Idyllic beaches, pristine waters, and plush hotels dominate the Syrian regime's latest wave of promotional videos to reinstate the country's former role as one of the Middle East's top tourist spots. There's just one detail missing: Syria's civil war. When I worked at Vice, one of the pitches that I had, and we almost did this, was, I forgot the title we were going to call it. It was, we had found on Facebook that Syria was promoting nightlife partying in Damascus during the civil war. And this is like the peak. This is like just after the gas attack. And I said, why don't we go and party in Syria? And it will be a little bit silly, a Vice-style documentary, but the point is to explain to people that even in the worst conflict zone right now in the world with these gas attacks, look at how people live. They're hanging out on the beach. They're driving to the mall. They're partying at nightclubs. I'm sure they'll let us film all of this because they want that message to get out. But the real message we're conveying is what war really looks like. We mix the nightlife partying tourism commercials with the actual war zone.
Same thing with Ukraine,
girls
right?
Exactly. Ukraine girls were partying all over. There's not many guys, but yeah, girls are still going to a club and everything.
I just wonder if they were at the end of this ad, if they ran a video from Al Jilani that said, "I promise I won't cut your head off."
Bro,
this is 2018 though, right?
Yeah, and so when we were tracking this stuff, it was like late 2013, early 2014.
Well, I mean the article.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm saying this was happening well before the article.
Okay.
It was like late 2013, 2014 when Damascus, the Syrian tourism agency, was running commercials. And we were watching them laughing, being like, yo, there are bombs going off, highways being taken over, and the government's on the verge of collapse. And look what they're trying to convince Americans to do. They were telling Americans to come party in Damascus. Yeah. So anyway, my point is, people think life is like a movie, and that movie Civil War was so wrong about a lot of it. They like the country's basic, like I don't know, the guy strung up at the gas station. Some of these ideas are not completely wrong.
What about Leave the World Behind?
Which one was
that? Was one where like the internet went down, and cars were crashing themselves, and there was like some.
I never watched that one.
It was an Obama documentary, I believe.
But I will just say, if the internet does go down at a global level, I can't even begin to describe. No more planes.
You'd be locked out of your bank.
Your electric car won't work. No money. You can't go shopping.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And if your power grid shuts down too, imagine being in a high rise. That's why I thought it would happen in the summer, because you got to be thinking about how hot it would be if they just shut off power in a New York sky rise, on the 10th, 20th, 30th floor, everybody would be forced out. Within a day, your toilets would be smelling, your house would smell like poop. It would be just disgusting. Everybody would be forced in the streets, and then it would be complete chaos, right?
The Chicago River will reverse.
Oh my gosh.
No joke. They use pumps to change the flow of the river. I could be wrong about this, but I watched something from Discovery a long time ago about what happens when the power goes out, and it was like within 3 days the river reverses its flow or something like that.
Oh wow!
Yeah, crazy things happen. We have changed this world tremendously.
Well, what did something's going on in the UK right now? There was an announcement. What did Keir Starmer? Something about something
Brit
about
IDs? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Digital IDs to travel there, come into his country now.
Oh man, they're cooked.
They're so cooked. I mean, you go to Australia. I've
seen so many videos of cops arresting people for tweets.
I've been to 20 countries in the last 40 weeks, give or take. And I tell you what, you get to some of these countries and you're just like, wow, it really kind of radicalizes you and looks at like what we think we have here as freedom from an American standpoint. You go to some of these other countries, you're like, wow, there's more freedom, there's more opportunity. I mean, you go down to El Salvador right now and you want to feel what the American dream probably felt like in the 60s, 50s, 70s. Go down to El Salvador. It'll radicalize you, because every single member of their government, from the president all the way down to literally the Secretary of State, they wake up every day with one mission, and that mission is to make your life better. They want to make the life better of the citizens who live there, every single member of the government. And you go from what we have here in America to this infighting and the left versus right, and they're constantly trying to pit us against each other. You go to El Salvador, the second you get off your phone, you don't need your phone. You don't need to be constantly on social media, because you just have so much to do. There's so much opportunity, and it's such a really good feeling. So I highly recommend to anybody in this audience, if you get a chance, just visit El Salvador for a week and see what it's like there. It'll radicalize you.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the stuff that's going on in the U.S., I don't think that we can really debate whether or not it's civil strife right now. And as for how much, yeah, I don't think there's a debate about it. And how much escalation, I think it depends on I think it depends on if there's actually people that want to de-escalate. And I don't see. We say it all the time around here. I don't see the off ramp. I don't see how. Yeah. I don't see anybody saying things like, "This is what we need to do to cool it down." When you've got, political figures on the left that are saying things, continuing to push the Charlie Kirk was a Nazi, Donald Trump's a fascist. You've got all these people saying all of this stuff, and even today there's an ICE facility right now that's got protesters outside that are fighting with ICE. If the Democrats actually wanted to see some kind of de-escalation, they should say things like, "Look, you need to let ICE do their job, because these people are lawfully, they're enforcing the law. If you don't like the law, you work to get the law changed, but you need to let ICE enforce the law."
Let me ask you a question, Myron, because you did federal law enforcement.
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom just passed a law saying the feds have to take their masks off.
Mm-hmm.
These feds that are operating in California for ICE, they live in California. They're California residents.
Yeah. So it depends.
So they're subject to both federal jurisdiction and state jurisdiction as it pertains to their job.
So it depends. Like if they're running a big immigration operation, they're going to probably fly agents in. You got Border Patrol there. You got FBI's helping out, whatever. I mean, they can't. I don't really think they could do too much, because the agents are probably just going to keep their masks on anyway. Like,
and then, so the question is, will Gavin Newsom actually enforce the law?
That's going to be tough. Because then do you think he would or would not? I don't think he will.
Because
I think it's posturing.
It'd
be way too hard to actually pull off.
If he doesn't, then the temperature stays cool a little bit. But if Gavin Newsom actually steps forward to try and force federal agents to demask, asserting authority over federal law enforcement like this,
can't do it.
Well, he can arrest them.
So most law enforcement overwhelmingly are conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see them arresting federal agents.
You don't think a state trooper from a urban liberal area?
Sure, there might be a few.
Yeah.
But the guys, and obviously California is a
Okay.
a weird
How
place,
many
but
cops would quit their job over some ICE agent?
Or zero,
Zero?
maybe one.
So when Gavin Newsom, and again, I don't know the probability by which Gavin Newsom will actually order this, but he passed the law. It's signed into law, and he publicly declared, take your masks off. That's order of the law from the governor. Let's say he decides.
It's going to create problems. I'll say that for sure. It's going to create problems.
Let's say he decides, I'm going to enforce this.
Chaos.
He tells state troopers, there's an ICE operation happening and they're masked. Go force their masks off or arrest them. You think a state trooper is going to be like, nah, I quit? Honest question.
Oh, we didn't see in the FBI when they were forcing the raid on Mar-a-Lago and all the other things. No. How many FBI agents quit? We had 5 whistleblowers, maybe 10 tops out of the entire agency.
So the state troopers likely will say, look, man, I'm just doing my job, right? I'm just following orders.
That's what they always
The
say.
federal ICE officer is going to be like, you are not taking this mask off of my face, and I'm doing my job under orders of the president of the United States. So who wins?
Well, technically, the supremacy clause, so by the order of the law, the federal officers don't have to listen to the local officers.
That's the point.
And also remember that like a lot of these guys, local law enforcement has an incredible amount of discretion. They actually have more discretion than feds do. So it would be a nightmare to actually pull off because, every agency is going to kind of run it the way that they want. Now, the state police, they're going to have less power because obviously the chain of command is they deal with Newsom directly, like they're his protection detail. So, I could see state troopers potentially doing it, but
what if Newsom steps it up and says, I'm not going to send state police to go and make these guys take their masks off. I'm going to use the California Tax Department, and I'm going to take your home from you. And I'm going to put you and your wife and your kid out on the streets because you broke the law. ICE agents live in California.
Of course.
If they decide to break California state law, which it is law right now by wearing a mask, Gavin Newsom has a plethora of enforcement options to go against these people. The question is, will the ICE agents tell Trump, I can't do this because the state is going to come after me? Or will Trump say, or will they say, no, I work for the federal government and these are my instructions? We are looking.
It's going to create a political nightmare.
I want to know how
that's the point.
Yeah, it's going to create a political nightmare.
Let me just put it like this. Sure. The reason I bring this up is
because the agents aren't going to take their masks off. They're not.
The law is clear in California. It's been signed. Both chambers passed it. The governor signed it. ICE must take their masks off by order of law in California. These ICE agents largely live in California, have homes in California, and pay California taxes. Mm-hmm. The argument is they won't do the job if their faces are exposed because people will come to their homes and attack them. It'll put their families at risk. So we have a few different outcomes then. Will the ICE agents just say, screw off Gavin, and Gavin does nothing about it? Maybe. Will the ICE agents say, I can't do this job and live in California at the same time, so I quit and I'll go find a job somewhere else?
Or
Maybe.
get transferred to another field office.
But listen, somebody who's got 2 kids and a wife and a house in California, they're not going to sell their house and sell other assets, pull their kids out of school, and then move to Colorado or D.C. or something. Mm-hmm. This was the problem we had in the American Civil War. These generals were trained at West Point and were friends with each other. So when I can't remember if it was like Jackson or I think it might have been Jackson. My home or my country? I choose my home.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's going to create a nightmare because keep in mind that when they're doing these immigration raids, you got ATF agents there, you got FBI guys there, you got DEA, you got pretty much every federal law enforcement agencies out there. So Gavin isn't going to just launch this on ICE. This is going to be on all the federal agencies. So it's going to create a lot of problems, a lot. So I don't know how he's going to actually enforce it.
I just want to know, why has Gavin Newsom not been investigated? How does a man that has never produced an ounce of wealth, that's probably worth, 50 to 100 million, if not more? Nancy Pelosi's worth, 280 million now?
I think he released the wine yesterday.
How is it possible that these people have amounted this much wealth and they treat us like we're their slaves? They're not our public servants. They stay in office forever. How is nobody investigating them is what I want to know. I think that's what the American people are the most upset with, is it's that we have received zero accountability and these people have literally made our lives a living hell.
Yeah, I mean, California sucks, bro. Like it's
a dumpster fire. You've been to Skid Row lately? I was out there with the junkies like 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago. It's disgusting, dude. The entire city is just, every business is abandoned. You see one business in, it's normally a foreign, like Chinese food or something. The next 10 buildings are open. I don't even know. And he's making like $68 billion a year in our tax dollars that goes to California. And what do they do with it?
You know, we're close to running out of time. I know I talk a lot, guys, but I just want to say one more thing. The American Revolution took 20 years. When the Founding Fathers signed the Declaration of Independence, the war had already been on for a year. The shot heard around the world happened at Lexington and Concord a year before the Declaration was signed. When they signed the Declaration of Independence, they sent it off to the Crown for recognition, and it took 3 months for the King and Parliament to even review the Declaration of Independence. It was an additional 3 or so months for a response to come back to the colonies. That means the Founding Fathers were at war for a year. The Revolutionary period, the Boston Massacre, and the Tea Party were years apart. And they sit down, they say, okay, let's sign this thing. They sign it. Okay, let's send it out. And then they went and farmed for 3 months. Mm-hmm. Every day they woke up, nothing changed. Postal carrier came by maybe at the end of the week, no news. Went farming again. Woke up, checked the chickens. We live in this time of instant data transmission. And so everything is happening substantially much faster than it had in the past for all of these great historical moments, even with World War I and World War II. So where we are right now, we just had 3 terror attacks in 3 weeks. We've had 26, and that's not all of them. The 26 was just like a quick list compiled like I made through ChatGPT. This year, 26. 9 months in. So we're looking at 2 or 3 terror attacks on average per month, and like March was actually way worse. Right now...
Do you know how many left-wing terrorist attacks we have versus right-wing?
Oh, yeah, 0 right-wing.
The guy from Colorado wasn't? You would say?
So
there's conflicting reports.
So
even if it was 1,
I think the fair estimate would be 2 or 3.
Okay.
And I'm not going to try and nitpick. There's arguments over the guy who shot the Minnesota lawmakers. He was arguably, they said he worked for Tim Walz, but he was arguably a Trump guy. And so it's conflicted, but I'm going to let the left, by all means.
Even if we give it to them,
who cares?
They're 10xing us, like 5 xing us.
But so the argument there is that the guy it was personal. He went after them for personal reasons, not political reasons. But we don't know. So let's just say that was right-wing motivated political violence. I don't even care to say they're 10xing us. The point is the conflict is happening.
You know what's funny? I didn't see conservatives dancing that when they obviously had that unfortunate tragic incident happen on their side.
No.
Nobody did.
I didn't see no prominent influencers like, yeah.
Will Cain, Jack Posobiec tweeted Bloody September. Will Cain opened his show calling this Bloody September. If we look back on history at how they condense things and say, this happened, this happened, this happened, think about what they would write about September in terms of the concentration of history compared to where we are today. In September, Charlie Kirk, the most prominent non-political conservative personality, technically probably the most prominent outside of Trump, was assassinated. Charlie, a week after the assassination, a man shot up an ABC station, a local television station, because a partisan had been removed from the air. This is how the history books would write it. Charlie Kirk is assassinated by a partisan supporting the mainstream Democratic Liberal Party. His ideology was in line with trans ideology. A week later, after a liberal partisan was removed from the airwaves for shocking comments about the assassin blaming the other side for the killing, a man shot up a local television station and several more threats were made. A week after that, a man got on a roof and fired onto an ICE facility with the intention, according to the evidence, to strike terror into the hearts of ICE agents so that they would, I'm paraphrasing, always fear that a sniper could be on any roof or around any corner. This all happened in the span of a couple of weeks. History, normally, these things take months. It is happening faster and faster and faster.
He took himself out right before getting arrested, right?
Right. Then we have the indictment of Comey.
Yep.
We have these other low-level financier
indictments. I think he surrendered this morning.
Comey, right.
I think he surrendered this morning.
But more importantly, on September 21st, Gavin Newsom ordered federal law enforcement to remove their masks. Think about what a history book would write about this past month. They would write, the governor of California ordered federal law enforcement to obey his command, remove his mask. This all occurred at the same time that the state and the federal government were fighting in court over who had control of the National Guard of California. That fight has not yet been resolved. Where we go from here has not yet been written. We don't know.
Yeah.
But if you try to imagine everything from the highest level of politics, again, the most important, in my opinion, being that Trump and Gavin Newsom are arguing in court over who gets to control the National Guard. That's where it gets crazy. These National Guard men and women that Trump is fighting for authority over, which he currently has, live in California.
Yep.
Will they leave their homes behind, their families behind? Will they pull their children out of school? If Gavin Newsom says, I don't care what Trump's rigged courts say, we know his courts are rigged. Democrats have made that argument already. So that's my final thought. If you guys want to, give some final thoughts before we wrap up here, we're a little over time, but it's okay, and then shout out whatever.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, I don't think that we have any idea, and I just really want to stay focused on the fact that we have Turning Point, who has video footage of exactly what happened. We also have the FBI, who has video footage and surveillance footage from the CCTV videos. If they want to be the most transparent and honest administration, then they need to release that to the public so that they can prove the theories that they've created and put out there. And if they don't, well, then I think that there's a lot more to this story. My name is Ryan Matta, documentary journalist, documentary filmmaker and investigative journalist. I've got about 6 documentaries out in the last year, and I have another one. And my main focus is child trafficking. So if you want to really dive down the rabbit hole and understand what our government's involvement in child trafficking is, stay tuned for about 2 weeks from now. I'm going to be dropping a documentary that I think a lot of Americans are waiting for, especially if you've had your children taken from our government. God bless you.
You want to go, Phil?
Go ahead.
Okay. Myron Gaines, you guys can follow me everywhere. Instagram, Fed Reacts. We're almost at 100K, I think. We might have crossed it. On Instagram, been banned like 10 times. And then YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, all Myron Gaines X, Kick as well. I'm going to stream tonight at about 10. We're going to cover Netanyahu at the UN getting booed and everything else like that. And obviously Trump not saying that he's not going to annex the West Bank, which is, good news. I hope he actually follows through. And then, impending war with Iran. So I'll be covering that tonight, probably around 10 p.m., guys.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can check out the band on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, and Deezer. Don't forget The Left Lane is for Crime.
We're back tonight at 8 p.m. for Timcast IRL, so don't miss it. Thank you all so much for hanging out. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast, and we'll see y'all then.